Imagine a world where entire civilizations, once teeming with life, culture, and untold wonders, vanished without a trace. Cities that flourished and fell, their stories buried beneath the sands of time, their existence reduced to mere whispers in the wind. What happened to them? Where did they go? And why have we found no answers? These are the cities that defy explanation, the ones that history has either forgotten or deliberately concealed. From the golden streets of a legendary city swallowed by the sea, to the towering ruins of a place that may never have existed at all, these lost cities hold mysteries that captivate the mind and haunt the soul. Each of these forgotten realms carries secrets that, even in our age of advanced technology and exploration, remain beyond our reach. How could something so grand simply disappear? Was it fate or something far more extraordinary? So sit back, relax, and let's dive deeper into the mystery. Join us as we venture into the unknown and explore the lost cities that once stood, only to vanish into history's darkest corners. High in the dense, untouched jungles of the Andes, hidden from the eyes of the world, there is a city waiting to be uncovered. A city so magnificent, so rich in legend, it has come to be known as the City of Gold, Paititi. Few have seen it, and fewer still have lived to tell the tale. Yet for centuries, the allure of this mythical place has called to explorers, adventurers, and historians alike, promising treasures beyond imagination and knowledge lost to time. The story of Paititi begins with the rise of the Inca Empire, which, at its peak, controlled vast swaths of land across South America. At the heart of this empire, nestled within the towering mountains and lush forests, was the sacred city of Paititi. According to legend, it was a place where unimaginable riches were stored: golden artifacts, jewel-encrusted temples, and ancient treasures, all hidden deep in the jungle. But despite its fame, Paititi's true location remains one of the greatest mysteries in history. What makes the legend of Paititi particularly compelling is the sheer weight of its mystery. The city, if it existed at all, was said to be so deeply protected that even the Inca themselves left no definitive map to its location. As the Spanish conquistadors, led by Francisco Pizarro, began their brutal conquest of the Inca in the early 1500s, a single phrase seemed to echo across the Andes: Paititi. It was whispered that as the Inca Empire crumbled under Spanish swords, the last remnants of the royal families, the Capac Han, fled to the deep jungle. In a desperate bid to safeguard the empire's wealth and sacred treasures, they retreated into the jungle's heart, taking the riches with them. They were not to be conquered, not to be vanquished. Some say they founded a new city, Paititi, where they could live free from the horrors of colonization. But did they? Or was Paititi something else entirely? As the centuries passed, various expeditions set out with high hopes of discovering the city. In the 16th and 17th centuries, Spanish explorers like Felipe Juan Poma de Ayala and Pedro Cieza de Leon wrote about the city, describing it in awe-filled terms, hinting at its vast wealth and grandeur. Yet, despite numerous expeditions, none returned with concrete proof of its existence. And over time, the trail grew cold. The Amazon, a place of unimaginable biodiversity, is also a place of deadly threats: dense vegetation, treacherous rivers, and a complex web of ecosystems that can confuse even the most experienced of explorers. But what if the jungle had simply concealed the truth about Paititi, hiding it from the world's view, until now? As the centuries passed, the search for Paititi continued, shifting from the realms of historical accounts into the domain of myth and legend. Some claim that the city is located near the headwaters of the Amazon River, deep in the Peruvian and Brazilian jungles. Others argue it may lie in the high-altitude regions of the Andes, where even the most well-prepared expeditions have yet to penetrate. In recent years, technology has begun to offer new ways of uncovering what was once lost. High-resolution satellite imagery, LiDAR, light detection and ranging, and drones have revolutionized how we explore the Earth's most hidden places. These tools have uncovered lost cities and ancient civilizations in regions previously thought impenetrable. And so the search for Paititi has entered a new chapter. But while the technology is there, the elusive city remains just out of reach. Could Paititi really be out there, buried beneath the thick, unforgiving canopy of the Amazon? Some modern-day adventurers insist it is. They point to the discovery of Ciudad Perdida, a lost city in the Colombian jungle, as proof that such ancient places can remain hidden for centuries. Could the fate of Paititi be the same? However, many historians remain skeptical of the more sensational theories. They argue that the city may not be a literal place at all, but rather a symbol, a representation of the Incan ideals of wealth, knowledge, and power. After all, the Incas' reverence for gold was not just material, it had spiritual significance. In this sense, Paititi might be less of a city to find and more of an idea to understand. Further complicating the mystery is the fact that some explorers have claimed to find evidence of the city's existence, only to vanish without a trace. In the early 20th century, for example, the explorer Hiram Bingham, famous for rediscovering Machu Picchu, set out with an expedition to find Paititi. Bingham's account of his journey remains one of the more fascinating pieces of exploration literature, but despite his claims of seeing signs of a lost city, he was never able to bring back irrefutable evidence. Other explorers have returned from the jungles with relics, strange artifacts, gold-like objects, and Incan inscriptions that seem to point toward something greater. Yet, each discovery only raises more questions. Are these artifacts truly from Paititi, or are they the product of folklore and overzealous imagination? And if they are real, what exactly do they tell us about the city's true nature? Perhaps, as some suggest, Paititi was never a single city at all, but a network of hidden Inca settlements, scattered across the Andean highlands and Amazonian lowlands. If true, then the city may never have been one unified place, but a collection of treasures, scattered and waiting to be pieced together by future explorers. The questions continue to mount. What was the true purpose of Paititi? Was it a place of refuge for the fleeing Inca, a final stand against the Spanish invasion? Or was it something more, a symbol of the mystical, a secret haven of knowledge designed to preserve the ancient ways? Was Paititi a city of riches, or something far more intangible, an idea, a legend, a beacon for those who still seek it? As time moves forward, the allure of Paititi only grows stronger. For some, the search is not merely about finding gold, but about uncovering the truth hidden in the ancient ruins. Others are drawn to the idea that somewhere, deep in the jungle, lies an ancient civilization with answers to questions that have eluded humanity for centuries. But for now, Paititi remains elusive, waiting, hidden in the folds of time and nature, its secrets buried beneath layers of earth, stone, and mystery. Perhaps one day, the world will uncover the truth. Until then, the search continues, one question, one theory, one step at a time. As we venture deeper into the myths of lost cities, another name rises from the shadows of history, El Dorado's sister, or more mystifyingly, the Green Kingdom. While El Dorado captured the imagination of explorers and adventurers for centuries with its fabled Golden City, the Green Kingdom, often seen as its lesser-known counterpart, whispers of something different. This city, wrapped in a veil of ancient mystery, is said to be a land not of gold, but of fertile plains and lush, unspoiled nature, a kingdom where the riches of the earth were measured in emeralds, precious plants, and an abundance of resources unlike anything seen before. The Green Kingdom's origins can be traced to the heart of South America, deep within the dense jungles of the Amazon basin. For centuries, explorers searching for El Dorado, an elusive, mythical city of gold, reported hearing tales of a second, even more elusive place. Some claimed it existed somewhere along the riverbanks of what is now Colombia and Venezuela, while others placed it in the uncharted jungles of Brazil or Peru. Yet, despite numerous expeditions, no one has ever been able to confirm its location. Much like its golden counterpart, the Green Kingdom was said to have been inhabited by a civilization that possessed unimaginable wealth, not in the form of shimmering gold, but in their profound understanding of the land and its natural wonders. The people of this kingdom were said to have harnessed the powers of the jungle, cultivating rare plants, mastering the art of medicinal herbs, and weaving lives deeply connected to the natural world around them. Their ability to live symbiotically with nature and utilize its resources was considered, by the standards of the time, nothing short of magical. But how did such a kingdom, so rich in resources and knowledge, slip into oblivion? Why, after centuries of search and speculation, does the Green Kingdom remain as elusive as the shimmering gold of El Dorado? The first mentions of this mysterious kingdom appear in the writings of Spanish conquistadors and explorers from the 16th and 17th centuries. As these men traversed the dense jungles of South America, they were captivated not only by the search for gold, but by strange reports of a lush, uncharted territory, an Eden-like place of fertile soil and vast vegetation unlike anything seen before. The kingdom was said to be hidden within the Amazon's impenetrable jungles, its precise location remaining a mystery even to the indigenous tribes who lived nearby. In fact, there are accounts suggesting that the locals spoke in hushed tones about a land untouched by outsiders, a place that was said to remain hidden to this day, locked away in a sanctuary of natural beauty. While there are no concrete records confirming the Green Kingdom's existence, the legend has lived on, passed from one generation to the next, growing richer in detail as it mingled with the local folklore. The idea of a lost city of untold natural wealth and harmony with the environment resonates deeply, especially in a time when the colonizers of the New World sought only to exploit resources rather than understand or preserve them. Some modern historians speculate that the Green Kingdom might not have been a singular city at all, but rather a concept, a vision held by the indigenous people of the region, reflecting their profound reverence for nature. Perhaps, instead of a physical city, it was an ideal, a representation of the perfect relationship between humanity and the environment, an elusive ideal that could never truly be realized by outsiders. Yet others argue that the kingdom was real, its capital city perhaps nestled between the mountains and the rivers of the Amazon, its wealth buried deep beneath centuries of jungle growth. This view draws strength from the stories of explorers who claim to have seen evidence of such a place. In the late 19th century, British explorer Sir Walter Raleigh reportedly came across references to an emerald city hidden in the depths of the jungle, suggesting that the kingdom might have once been known for its precious gemstones, particularly emeralds, which were abundant in the region. What further complicates the search is the fact that the Amazon itself, with its dense canopy and unpredictable rivers, seems to have swallowed much of the landscape whole, hiding not just cities, but entire civilizations. Could it be that the Green Kingdom was once a thriving civilization, only to be consumed by nature's slow but relentless process? The discovery of ancient terraces, irrigation systems, and artifacts in the Amazon region suggests that sophisticated societies once lived in this environment, capable of thriving in one of the world's most hostile and challenging ecosystems. And then there is the peculiar phenomenon of the Mossadegh Codex, an ancient manuscript that was found in the early 1900s by an expedition led by Brazilian explorer Otto von Berenstein. The codex describes in cryptic detail a city hidden within the Amazon that was not built on gold, but on the harmony between nature and its inhabitants. The codex speaks of a green city that was both a paradise and a fortress, a place of refuge for the oppressed and the natural world. However, much like the legend itself, the codex has never been definitively authenticated, leaving scholars to wonder if it is a true relic or simply another piece of embellished history. One of the more speculative theories is that the Green Kingdom was not a single civilization, but rather a network of interconnected tribes and settlements, united by shared knowledge of the land and its gifts. The ancient people of the Amazon were known to have vast knowledge of the jungle, how to cultivate it, how to survive it, and how to use it in ways that modern technology is only beginning to understand. If the Green Kingdom existed, it might have been a repository of this knowledge, an intellectual and spiritual center hidden away from the rest of the world. But if this kingdom was so connected to the earth, so deeply entwined with its resources, could its disappearance be linked to the very forces that allowed it to flourish? The arrival of the European colonizers, with their insatiable thirst for land and resources, certainly disrupted the delicate balance that these societies maintained with nature. Could it be that the Green Kingdom simply faded into the jungle as its people were forced to retreat, unwilling to give up their sacred connection to the land? Or was it a deliberate act, a conscious decision to erase its traces in order to preserve its legacy? The question, as with so many other lost cities, remains: did the Green Kingdom exist? And if it did, what became of it? Could it still be hiding in plain sight, its secrets waiting to be unearthed by those who can look beyond the surface and read the signs of the past? The search for answers continues, not only in the dense jungles of South America, but in the realms of history and legend, where truth and myth often intertwine. For now, the Green Kingdom remains a shadow, a tantalizing mystery that may never fully reveal itself. But perhaps in time, we will uncover its secrets, not in the gold of the conquistadors, but in the roots and leaves of the jungle itself. The search is far from over. We shift now from the dense jungles of South America to the warm, turquoise waters of the Caribbean, where another mystery beckons, the Bimini Road, a submerged formation that lies just off the coast of the Bimini Islands in the Bahamas. Unlike the fabled kingdoms of gold or green, the mystery of the Bimini Road is not hidden in the depths of a jungle, but beneath the waves of the ocean, a city of stones, lost to time, lost to the sea. Bimini is a place shrouded in myth. For centuries, the islands have been associated with the idea of a lost civilization, sometimes called the City of Giants, though few can agree on who or what built it, or why it was lost to the sea. The Bimini Road itself is a submerged structure, often referred to as a road or pathway, stretching nearly half a mile across the shallow waters. Some of the stones appear to have been carefully shaped, forming right angles, smooth surfaces, and even interlocking designs. To the naked eye, it's not just a random formation, it seems deliberate, constructed. But how could such a road or city have ended up beneath the waves? Was it created by an ancient civilization long before Columbus set sail for the New World, or is it the result of natural geological forces? For years, these questions have remained unanswered, leaving behind a legacy of speculation, wonder, and debate. The first reports of the Bimini Road began in the early 20th century, when a diver named Dr. Harold T. Wilkins first observed the underwater structure in 1938. He described it as a series of rectangular blocks, aligned in a straight line, forming what appeared to be a pathway running through the sea floor. Others, including explorer Edgar Cayce, whose work in the early 1900s brought him fame as a sleeping prophet, claimed the structure was linked to the mythical island of Atlantis. Cayce, known for his prophecies and spiritual insights, said that Bimini was the site of ancient Atlantean ruins, buried beneath the waves when the island disappeared into the ocean. He even suggested that the road marked the remnants of a once great city, now lost to history. This connection to Atlantis, and by extension, the idea of a city of giants, captured the imagination of many. Some believed that the structure was evidence of a civilization far older than anything modern history could document. With its perfect symmetry, its apparent purpose, and its proximity to other ancient legends, Bimini quickly became associated with the myths of lost cities and advanced ancient peoples. But as with most mysteries, the questions only multiplied. Geologists, archaeologists, and oceanographers began to investigate the Bimini Road, offering different explanations for its origin. For some, the formation was nothing more than a natural geological feature, a result of erosion, coral growth, and the movement of sea currents. They argue that the stones could be naturally occurring, shaped by water and wind over thousands of years, creating the illusion of a man-made structure. This explanation, known as the natural formation theory, maintains that the Bimini Road is simply a geological curiosity, not an ancient relic. Others, however, remain convinced that the structure is a product of human ingenuity. They point to the precision of the stones, the way they seem to fit together, the way some blocks appear to have been intentionally shaped into geometric patterns. If it's a natural formation, they argue, it seems too perfect, too deliberate. Could it be the remnants of a city or a temple, now submerged beneath the ocean after some catastrophic event? An ancient city lost not to time, but to an act of nature? The theories vary, but there is one thing they all seem to agree on. The Bimini Road is a mystery that, despite years of research, refuses to be solved. As we move further into the heart of the mystery, it becomes apparent that the Bimini Road is not just a physical phenomenon. It is part of a larger question about ancient civilizations and their relationship to the earth, the sea, and the mysteries of the natural world. For some, Bimini is merely a symbol, a fragment of evidence pointing to a time when humans were capable of achievements far beyond what we've traditionally been taught. Was this road built by an ancient, advanced civilization? Perhaps one that had access to technologies or knowledge we've yet to rediscover? Or was it simply a ceremonial structure, part of a culture long lost? There is another theory, one that is more speculative yet equally tantalizing. Some believe the Bimini Road was constructed by a race of giants, beings of extraordinary size who could move and shape massive stones with ease, leaving behind ruins that would appear anomalous to those who came after. This theory, which connects Bimini to the idea of the City of Giants, hinges on a mythology found in many ancient cultures. From the giants of the Bible to the titans of Greek mythology, stories of enormous beings with great strength are universal, appearing across cultures separated by thousands of miles. Could these giants have built the Bimini Road? Could their civilization, if it existed, have been buried beneath the sea when the ocean levels rose after the last ice age, leaving only these enigmatic stones behind as their legacy? In the realm of fringe theories, some even suggest the possibility that the Bimini Road is not just a remnant of an ancient city, but a sort of gateway, an entrance to a hidden world beneath the ocean. Proponents of this theory often point to the presence of other submerged sites around the world, like the famous Yonaguni Monument off the coast of Japan or the ruins near the Azores Islands. These sites, they argue, suggest that an advanced civilization may have existed long before recorded history, one that possessed the knowledge to create not just cities, but entire underwater complexes. Could the Bimini Road be part of this hidden civilization? Could there be more beneath the waves waiting to be discovered? Yet for every theory, there are counter-arguments. For every claim of ancient knowledge, There is a scientist who insists that the Bimini Road is nothing more than a natural wonder, a product of time, water, and the forces of nature. The debate continues, but the mystery remains unsolved. What makes the Bimini Road so compelling is not just its physical presence, but the story it tells. A story of loss, of disappearance, and of the search for meaning in the ruins of the past. The stones lie there under the water, seemingly waiting for someone to uncover their truth. Is it the road of an ancient civilization, lost to the sea? Or is it simply a mirage, an optical illusion created by nature? Perhaps, like so many other mysteries, the Bimini Road holds a truth we are not yet ready to understand. For now, the road remains beneath the waves, its answers submerged in the depths of time. And as long as it does, the question remains: what secrets does it hold? What civilization, if any, walked upon it? The search continues, but the truth may be far more elusive than we could ever imagine. As we dive deeper into the heart of lost civilizations, no name resonates with as much intrigue and mystery as Atlantis. Often regarded as the most famous of the lost cities, Atlantis has captivated minds for over 2 millennia, its story blending the boundaries of myth and reality. But what if this legend, woven with threads of mystery, was more than just a tale of lost grandeur? Could it be the truth? And if so, what happened to Atlantis? Was it a city of wisdom and power, or a cautionary tale of a civilization undone by its own hubris? The first mention of Atlantis comes from the writings of the ancient Greek philosopher Plato. Around 360 BCE, in his dialogues Timaeus and Critias, Plato described a powerful and technologically advanced civilization located beyond the Pillars of Hercules, the Strait of Gibraltar. According to Plato, Atlantis was a large island, larger than Libya and Asia combined, situated in the Atlantic Ocean. It was a place of great wealth, with a thriving society that lived in harmony with nature and ruled over many smaller regions. The people of Atlantis were, according to Plato, highly intelligent and skilled in the arts of engineering, architecture, and warfare. Their capital city, which Plato described in vivid detail, was said to have been a marvel. Its central island surrounded by rings of water and land, a city of immense beauty and extraordinary design, with grand palaces, temples, and lush gardens. But despite this grandeur, Atlantis was doomed. Plato's story tells of how the people of Atlantis, once virtuous, grew corrupt with their power and wealth. Driven by greed and desire for expansion, they waged war against the ancient Athenians, a battle they lost. In the end, Atlantis was swallowed by the sea, disappearing beneath the waves in a single catastrophic event. For centuries, scholars have debated the truth of Plato's account. Was Atlantis a real place, or was it merely an allegory, a philosophical warning about the dangers of pride and corruption? Plato's tale has been interpreted as everything from a mythological parable to an ancient memory of a real, now lost civilization. But regardless of the explanation, the mystery of Atlantis persists, tantalizing explorers, historians, and dreamers alike. Over the centuries, various theories have emerged about where Atlantis might have been located. Some scholars have suggested that the island was located in the Mediterranean, with popular theories placing it in places like Crete, Santorini, or Sicily. Others have proposed more distant locations, such as the Azores, or even in the Caribbean Sea, near the Bahamas. Each theory offers tantalizing clues: ruins, underwater structures, or geological formations that seem to point to a once great civilization lost beneath the sea. Yet, despite these efforts, no definitive proof has been found, and the true location of Atlantis remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in history. For those who believe Atlantis was more than just a story, the search for its remains is not just a quest for knowledge, it is a journey into the past, seeking answers to fundamental questions about human civilization. Could such an advanced society have existed and vanished in a moment, leaving behind only vague hints and cryptic writings? And what might we learn about our own civilization in the process? Perhaps the most compelling aspect of the Atlantis mystery is its connection to the ancient world's fascination with the sea. The idea that a city could be submerged by the ocean captures our imagination in ways few other stories can. The sea, vast and unknowable, has always been a source of both wonder and fear. It's no wonder that ancient peoples, including the Greeks, saw it as a realm of mystery, full of hidden places and forgotten kingdoms. Some modern theories suggest that Atlantis was not just a city, but an entire continent, a vast landmass that sank into the ocean after a cataclysmic event. The idea of a sunken continent has captivated the minds of many, including renowned scientists and researchers. The concept of Atlantis as a lost landmass is bolstered by the existence of submerged cities, such as those off the coast of Japan and the Caribbean, places that suggest the possibility of ancient civilizations whose ruins now lie beneath the waves. Could Atlantis have been an advanced civilization, with technology and knowledge far beyond what we understand today? Some proponents of this theory argue that Atlantis was a center of innovation, with scientific achievements that were lost in the flood. The idea that the Atlanteans possessed knowledge that was far ahead of their time is compelling. Many theories speculate that they had the ability to harness energy in ways we are only beginning to understand, or that they possessed advanced architectural techniques that allowed them to build structures far more complex than anything from the ancient world. Yet, for every theory that suggests an advanced civilization, there is an equally plausible counter-argument. Skeptics point out that there is no concrete evidence of such a society. No artifacts, no writings, no definitive traces of Atlantis have ever been found. The story of Atlantis could be nothing more than a myth, an imaginative tale spun by Plato, designed to illustrate his philosophical ideas about the dangers of excess and the fallibility of even the most powerful societies. Moreover, some researchers propose that the sinking of Atlantis might have been inspired by real-world events, the collapse of civilizations such as the Minoans on Crete, or the destruction of ancient cities due to volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, or tsunamis. The eruption of the volcano on Santorini around 1600 BCE, for example, could have led to widespread devastation in the Mediterranean and left an impression on the collective imagination of the time. The catastrophic events that destroyed the Minoan civilization might have become mixed with local folklore, evolving into the myth of Atlantis. However, even if Atlantis was nothing more than a metaphor, it has had an undeniable impact on human culture. The story of Atlantis has inspired countless works of literature, from the Renaissance to modern times. It has fueled the imaginations of explorers, philosophers, and dreamers, all eager to unlock the mystery of the lost city. The idea of a grand civilization, long lost but never forgotten, continues to resonate with us. So, where does this leave us? The location of Atlantis, if it even existed, remains elusive. Its existence might be a matter of interpretation. Some view it as a cautionary tale, while others believe it holds the key to unlocking a deeper understanding of humanity's past. As we continue to explore the oceans, the ruins, and the myths of lost civilizations, the legend of Atlantis persists, drawing us into the mystery of what was and what might still be hidden beneath the waves. Perhaps, just like the other lost cities, Atlantis is not a place to be found, but an idea to be explored, a reminder that what is lost can still be remembered, and that sometimes the greatest mysteries lie just beneath the surface, waiting for someone to dive deep enough to discover them. From the vast stretches of the Amazon rainforest, where the humid air thickens and the dense vegetation swallows whole worlds, a story persists, a story of a city that may have once thrived in the heart of South America, only to vanish without a trace. This is the story of the lost city of Z, a legend that has both captivated and confounded explorers, archaeologists, and dreamers for over a century. The first whispers of the lost city of Z emerged at the turn of the 20th century. British explorer Percy Harrison Fawcett, a man with a remarkable career in mapping and surveying, became obsessed with the idea of a forgotten city hidden deep within the Amazon. Fawcett's interest in the region began during his work in South America as a young officer in the Royal Geographical Society, where he mapped the borders between Bolivia and Brazil. He became convinced that a great civilization, far older than the Incas or the Mayans, had once flourished in the Amazon basin. Fawcett believed this city, whom he named Z after a symbol he had encountered in ancient maps and inscriptions, was buried in the wilderness. He was not the first to think so. There were earlier reports, faint as they were, from indigenous tribes and explorers suggesting the presence of a long-lost civilization buried somewhere in the impenetrable jungles. But it was Fawcett's conviction, coupled with his knowledge of ancient cultures and his personal determination, that ignited the fire that would lead him into the depths of the Amazon in search of this mysterious city. In his writings, Fawcett detailed his theories. He believed that the Amazon was not the untamed wilderness it was often portrayed to be. Far from being a place devoid of civilization, he argued, the rainforest was the cradle of an advanced yet forgotten society. The idea that the Amazon was merely a savage and uninhabited place, a misconception that had persisted for centuries, was, in Fawcett's mind, wrong. He insisted that ancient cultures had lived and thrived in the Amazon, building cities and creating complex societies that rivaled any in the Old World. Fawcett's vision of the lost city of Z was not a mere fantasy. It was backed by his interpretation of archaeological and ethnographic evidence he had encountered during his earlier expeditions. He pointed to reports of large man-made structures, intricate pottery, and even human-made earthworks that were found in the region, suggesting a far more sophisticated past than anyone had imagined. The existence of the city seemed to be supported by stories from indigenous peoples, who spoke of ancient ruins and hidden temples buried beneath the jungle's thick canopy. For years, Fawcett's theory was considered by many to be nothing more than speculative fiction, but to Fawcett, it was a calling, a quest that he could not abandon. In 1920, after years of research and preparation, Fawcett set out on his final expedition. Armed with maps, notes, and an unwavering belief that Z was real, he embarked into the Amazon, determined to uncover the city's secrets. But Fawcett and his team would never return. In 1925, Percy Harrison Fawcett, along with his son Jack and a companion named Raleigh Rimmel, ventured into the jungle to find the city of Z. Their last communication with the outside world came in the form of a cryptic letter, in which Fawcett mentioned that they had found signs of the city's existence, remains of buildings, large structures, and artifacts pointing to an ancient civilization. Yet, they never emerged from the forest. Despite numerous search efforts, no trace of Fawcett, his son, or his companion was ever found. This mysterious disappearance only added to the mystique of the lost city of Z. Was Fawcett's obsession a tragic overreach of imagination, or had he in fact stumbled upon a truth that was too dangerous to understand? The mystery deepened over the decades, with countless explorers, treasure hunters, and adventurers following in Fawcett's footsteps, but all finding nothing more than the untamed jungle itself. One theory that emerged after Fawcett's disappearance is that he and his team were the victims of an indigenous ambush. Some suggest that the indigenous tribes of the Amazon, who had lived in the region for centuries, might have seen the expedition as a threat, or that Fawcett's quest for the city of Z could have triggered a violent encounter. The dense forests of the Amazon are not only physically overwhelming, but they are also full of cultural and historical tensions, making the prospect of exploration far more dangerous than it might seem from afar. Others speculate that Fawcett's obsession with Z might have led him too far into the unknown, causing him to miss crucial warning signs of the treacherous environment. The Amazon is, after all, a place where even the most experienced explorers have perished, a place where dense foliage, unpredictable weather, and hidden dangers, like venomous creatures and deadly diseases, are constant threats. Perhaps Fawcett was simply overwhelmed by the harsh realities of the jungle, succumbing to the elements, or becoming disoriented in a landscape so vast that it swallowed his expedition whole. Despite the absence of hard evidence, the idea of the lost city of Z has continued to captivate explorers and historians. Over the years, new theories have emerged, each one adding another layer to the puzzle. One of the most persistent ideas is that Fawcett was not just searching for a singular city, but for a network of cities, an entire civilization that once thrived and vanished into the depths of the Amazon rainforest. Recent archaeological research suggests that ancient civilizations may indeed have lived in the Amazon, challenging the long-held belief that the region was sparsely populated before the arrival of Europeans. Evidence of complex earthworks, large settlements, and even the remains of cities has been found buried under the thick canopy of the forest, suggesting that the ancient Amazon was home to sophisticated societies capable of extensive agricultural practices, architecture, and trade. In the past few decades, new technologies like satellite imagery and LiDAR, light detection and ranging, have allowed archaeologists to uncover hidden ruins beneath the jungle floor, often revealing large structures that were once thought to be impossible in the dense rainforest. These discoveries, which some believe could be linked to Fawcett's search, point to the possibility that large-scale cities once flourished in this region, and that the lost city of Z may be just one piece of a much larger puzzle. One intriguing theory that has emerged in recent years is that the lost city of Z could be a city located near the Madeira River, a tributary of the Amazon. Several expeditions have ventured into the area, investigating the possibility that Fawcett's dream city lies in this little explored part of the rainforest. Yet, despite numerous expeditions, the city remains elusive, tantalizingly out of reach, always just beyond the grasp of modern explorers. Some believe that the lost city of Z may have been a city of immense importance, not just in the context of the Amazon, but to the entire world. Could this city have been a center of knowledge, commerce, or power that predated the great civilizations of the Incas, the Aztecs, or the Mayans? Was its disappearance the result of a natural disaster, a great flood or earthquake, or was it erased by the very people who built it, lost to time, to history, to the jungle? In the absence of definitive answers, the lost city of Z continues to inspire explorers, historians, and dreamers. For some, it is an archaeological treasure, a challenge that waits to be unlocked. For others, it is a reminder that history is full of secrets, stories that have been buried for centuries beneath the earth, hidden in the depths of the rainforest, waiting to be uncovered. The mystery of the lost city of Z remains as elusive as ever. What did Fawcett really find in the Amazon, and why did he disappear without a trace? The answers remain out of reach, yet the allure of the unknown, the tantalizing possibility of lost civilizations and forgotten cities, keeps the legend of Z alive. As the jungle continues to reclaim its secrets, one can only wonder, what truths buried deep in the heart of the Amazon are still waiting to be discovered? As we continue our journey through the lost cities of history, we turn our gaze toward a legend that has captivated the minds of mystics, explorers, and spiritual seekers for centuries. A city that some believe lies hidden deep in the mountains of Central Asia, known only as Shambhala. Unlike other lost cities, Shambhala is not merely a place of stone and mortar, but one of ethereal significance, said to be a realm of profound spiritual enlightenment and ancient wisdom. a kingdom that exists beyond the reach of ordinary men. Its name evokes visions of serenity, wisdom, and mystery, yet it is a place that many have spent lifetimes searching for, only to find themselves, time and time again, at a dead end. The myth of Shambhala is deeply rooted in Tibetan Buddhism and Hinduism, but its origins stretch far beyond any single tradition. According to Buddhist texts, particularly the Kalachakra Tantra, Shambhala is a hidden kingdom where beings of great wisdom reside. It is said to be a place where the teachings of the Buddha were preserved in their purest form, untouched by the turmoil of the outside world. This realm, according to legend, is a land of peace and prosperity, where the rulers are enlightened beings who possess not just material wealth, but also a deep, transcendent wisdom that has been passed down through generations. However, Shambhala is no ordinary kingdom. It is described as existing in a mystical, almost otherworldly state, hidden from the common man by an impenetrable veil. Some believe that Shambhala is not a physical place, but a spiritual realm, accessible only through inner transformation and enlightenment. Others hold that it is an actual city, tucked away somewhere within the towering peaks of the Himalayas, shielded by mystical forces that prevent ordinary people from finding it. The first recorded mention of Shambhala in Western literature appeared in Alexandra David Nael's 1929 work, Magic and Mystery in Tibet. The French explorer and Buddhist scholar wrote of her own travels through Tibet and spoke of the mystic kingdom in hushed tones, suggesting that it was more than just a myth. According to her research, the legend of Shambhala was deeply interwoven with Tibetan religious beliefs. She recounted stories of monks and lamas who spoke of a hidden city where Buddhist teachings were guarded and where peace reigned above all else, untouched by the struggles and strife of the world. David Nael's explorations brought Shambhala into the Western imagination, but it also deepened the mystery. What was this land, and where could it possibly be? Throughout history, the idea of Shambhala has been revisited by countless scholars and seekers. The legendary Mongolian king Kublai Khan himself reportedly sent emissaries into the mountains, hoping to discover the mystical kingdom. According to some accounts, Khan's emissaries were told by local monks that Shambhala could be reached only by those who were spiritually prepared. The physical journey, they believed, was only the beginning. Those who sought Shambhala had to be ready to encounter the wisdom and knowledge that the kingdom promised. In addition to its religious significance, Shambhala is often associated with apocalyptic prophecies. Tibetan tradition holds that when the world is in chaos and suffering reaches its peak, the people of Shambhala will emerge from their hidden city to restore peace, dispel darkness, and guide humanity into a new era of enlightenment. This prophecy has added a sense of urgency to the search for Shambhala, with some believing that the kingdom's discovery could herald a new age of understanding and spiritual awakening for the world. But where exactly is Shambhala? Some believe that Shambhala lies hidden somewhere in the vast expanse of the Himalayas, the towering mountain range that has long been shrouded in mystery and sacredness. According to some reports, the kingdom is located somewhere beyond the reaches of known geography, in a place where the physical world and spiritual realms overlap. Others have suggested that it could be in Tibet, nestled somewhere within the highest peaks of the Tibetan plateau, beyond the grasp of modern exploration. Yet, despite the many expeditions and searches that have been launched, no tangible evidence of Shambhala has ever been found. Some researchers argue that this is precisely why Shambhala cannot be found, because it exists on a different plane of existence, beyond the limits of ordinary perception. They suggest that Shambhala might be a metaphysical place, one that can only be reached by those who are prepared to transcend the material world. Could it be that those who seek it with an open mind and heart are the ones who truly find it? Or is there something more to the story? a deeper layer of mystery that has yet to be uncovered. In Hindu mythology, a similar place exists, Kailasa, the sacred mountain home of the god Shiva. Some believe that the two places, Shambhala and Kailasa, are one and the same. Two names for the same mystical kingdom, one rooted in Buddhist tradition, the other in Hindu beliefs. According to this interpretation, both religions hold the key to understanding the nature of Shambhala and its role in the cosmic order. The blending of these traditions and beliefs suggests that Shambhala might be more than just a physical location. It may be a place of inner peace, wisdom, and enlightenment, accessible to those who are spiritually attuned. In more recent years, the legend of Shambhala has taken on an almost geopolitical dimension. Some conspiracy theorists and alternative history enthusiasts have pointed to historical events, such as the Dalai Lama's exile to India in 1959, as signs that Shambhala's influence is still present in the world today. These theorists suggest that the Dalai Lama, as the spiritual leader of the Tibetan people, may be in direct contact with the hidden kingdom, or even that he serves as its emissary. Others propose that Shambhala is not an isolated city at all, but a network of enlightened individuals and hidden societies scattered across the globe, working from the shadows to bring about a new era of human consciousness. Further fueling the mystery is the belief in Shambhala warriors, a group of enlightened beings who, according to some esoteric teachings, are preparing to emerge from the kingdom in the future to combat the forces of darkness. These warriors, some claim, are the guardians of ancient wisdom and possess the knowledge to heal the world. Could the ancient kingdom be waiting, hidden from view, for the right moment to reveal itself to the world? Despite all the speculation and intrigue, the search for Shambhala remains as elusive as ever. Is it a physical city, waiting to be discovered in the remote mountains of Central Asia? Or is it a realm of consciousness, accessible only to those who have reached a certain level of spiritual understanding? Some believe the truth lies somewhere in between. Perhaps Shambhala is both a real place and a spiritual concept, a physical and metaphysical location, existing simultaneously in the tangible world and the mind. Many of the world's great mysteries are wrapped in a layer of myth, but it is perhaps the stories of Shambhala that linger most in our collective imagination. The idea of a hidden kingdom, governed by enlightened rulers and containing the knowledge of the universe, speaks to something deep within us, our desire for peace, for wisdom, and for a higher purpose. Whether or not Shambhala is a physical reality or an allegory for something far greater, it invites us to explore the boundaries between the known and the unknown, between myth and history, and between the physical world and the spiritual realm. The legend of Shambhala, like many great mysteries, continues to beckon, drawing us toward its unknown shores. Whether it exists as a hidden city, a kingdom of the mind, or a guiding spiritual force, the truth remains just out of reach, waiting for those who are ready to seek it. What, if anything, does Shambhala hold? Could it be a place of peace and enlightenment? A kingdom that has been waiting for the right moment to reveal itself to humanity? Or is it simply a myth, a tale passed down through generations, offering a glimpse into something we may never truly understand? The search for Shambhala continues, a mystery that is as much about the journey as it is about the destination. As we move through the tangled web of lost cities and forgotten civilizations, we come upon one of the most evocative and mysterious of all, the City of Brass, a place whose very name conjures images of gleaming spires and majestic buildings, all crafted from the lustrous metal after which it is named. But for all its allure, the City of Brass is not a place of solid stone, nor a city that has been unearthed by modern archaeology. Instead, it exists in the realm of myth, literature, and legend, an enigmatic city that has captivated the imagination of countless explorers, mystics, and historians. The City of Brass first enters the Western consciousness through the pages of the 1001 Nights, also known as the Arabian Nights, where it is depicted as an abandoned city, long forgotten by time. In the tale, a group of adventurers stumbles upon the ruins of the city, which are described as being made entirely of brass, standing tall in a desolate landscape, untouched by human hands for centuries. The city is both beautiful and terrifying, its once grand halls now silent and empty. Yet among its abandoned streets lie clues to a civilization of extraordinary power and sophistication, clues that remain unexplained and open to interpretation. But the legend of the City of Brass extends far beyond the stories of Arabian Nights. In various cultures, from the Middle East to India and even into the Mediterranean, references to a mystical, forgotten city made of brass appear with surprising consistency. The symbolism of brass, an alloy of copper and zinc, has often been linked to both the idea of alchemy and the transformative power of the material world. Brass, once polished, shines brightly like gold, yet it eventually tarnishes, representing the fleeting nature of all things. This sense of beauty intertwined with decay speaks to the duality of the City of Brass, its glory once unmatched, now long lost to time. Historically, there is no concrete evidence that such a city ever existed, and no archaeological excavation has ever turned up the remains of a great city made of brass, as described in these ancient stories. However, the idea of the City of Brass has taken on a life of its own, with various theories and speculations attempting to explain what the city might have been, where it might have been located, and why it disappeared. In some versions of the tale, the City of Brass is not merely a physical place, but a metaphor for something deeper, a place of transformation or enlightenment that exists between the physical and spiritual realms. The brass that covers the city's buildings is often seen as a symbol of materialism and human pride, a city that once gleamed with wealth and power, but eventually faded into obscurity as its inhabitants succumbed to their own hubris. In the world of archaeology and anthropology, the concept of the City of Brass has sometimes been linked to actual ancient civilizations, cities that were once prosperous but were lost to time, either through natural disasters or the rise and fall of empires. Some scholars believe that the story could be a folk memory of long-forgotten cities, perhaps even real cities that were abandoned after their inhabitants were wiped out by war, famine, or environmental change. These cities, like the City of Brass, may have been overshadowed by the passage of time, their remnants buried beneath the sand or swallowed by the wilderness. One theory points to the ancient city of Ubar, also known as the Atlantis of the Sands, which has been the subject of speculation for centuries. Ubar, according to legend, was a magnificent city located somewhere in the Arabian Peninsula, reputed for its wealth and advanced architecture. Like the City of Brass, Ubar is said to have vanished mysteriously, buried beneath the desert sands after its people defied the will of the gods. In this sense, the City of Brass and Ubar share a thematic connection. Both cities are symbols of opulence, decadence, and the eventual downfall of a civilization that lived too grandly, only to be swallowed up by time and the forces of nature. In other interpretations, the City of Brass is linked to the ancient city of Petra in modern-day Jordan, a place that once thrived as a trading hub and a marvel of architecture. Petra, though not made of brass, is known for its grand facades, carved directly into the rose-red cliffs of the desert. Some scholars have suggested that the legend of the City of Brass could be a poetic exaggeration of Petra's once great beauty. Its stone structures, weathered and eroded by time, now giving way to a city that has been abandoned, slowly reclaimed by the desert. But the most enduring mystery surrounding the City of Brass lies in the sheer elusiveness of its nature. Where exactly could it have been located? The myths place it somewhere in the wilderness, far from any known settlements, in a desolate, barren region. Some propose that the city was situated in the Sahara Desert, where remnants of ancient, long-lost civilizations have been uncovered. Others suggest it could lie beneath the shifting sands of the Arabian Peninsula, or even somewhere in the Middle East, perhaps in the ruins of an ancient kingdom that was wiped from the annals of history. In the 20th century, various adventurers and explorers have attempted to trace the footsteps of the City of Brass, inspired by the mystical allure of the stories. Some have scoured the deserts of North Africa, while others have ventured into the rugged mountains of the Arabian Peninsula, hoping to stumble upon a hidden treasure of immense historical and archaeological value. Yet, despite their best efforts, the city remains as elusive as ever, its brass structures never revealed to the modern world. One intriguing theory posits that the City of Brass could be more than just a myth. It could be a place buried in another dimension, accessible only to those with the right knowledge, or perhaps only to those who are spiritually prepared. This notion leans heavily on esoteric traditions, suggesting that the city exists on a metaphysical level, a realm where reality and imagination blur. Could the City of Brass be a place of spiritual transformation, where the mundane world of materialism and wealth has been left behind in favor of a higher plane of existence? If so, is it a city of the past, or one waiting for humanity to rediscover its true nature? The possibility that the City of Brass may have once existed but has since vanished without a trace raises further questions about the nature of forgotten civilizations. Could such a city have risen to power in an era when the world was far less connected, leaving behind no significant physical trace? Or perhaps the city's architects built with materials that have not survived the test of time: wood, clay, and other perishable materials that have long since decayed, leaving only a faint echo of its existence? What is it about the idea of the City of Brass that continues to draw us in, despite its elusive nature? Perhaps it is the idea of a kingdom so magnificent and so far removed from our own world that it becomes a symbol of what is lost to time, an unattainable dream that teases our curiosity and stirs our longing for something more. The city's gleaming brass structures are not merely physical entities, but representations of human ambition and the impermanence of all things. The City of Brass invites us to consider the nature of human history and its fleeting achievements. Could it be that civilizations far older and more advanced than our own existed in places now forgotten? Cities made of materials that were once considered valuable and eternal, but which have since been overtaken by the passage of centuries. Could we, too, be living in a world where the legacy of our civilization will one day be forgotten, swallowed by time, just as the City of Brass was? The mystery of the City of Brass, much like the stories that have woven around it for centuries, remains unsolved. Was it a real city? A lost metropolis that once gleamed in the sun but was swept away by the sands of time? Or is it a symbol of something much deeper, a reflection of the human condition and our eternal search for meaning, beauty, and permanence in a world that is always changing? As the search for the City of Brass continues, one thing is clear: the legend lives on, inspiring new generations to look for answers in the most unlikely places, to search for lost cities in the hidden corners of the world. The history of lost cities and mysterious places often blurs the line between fact and legend. From the depths of ancient myth to the realms of speculative archaeology, there are places that defy time and logic, whose stories linger in the shadows of history. One such place is Hy-Brasil, a mythical island that has captivated the imagination of explorers, cartographers, and historians for centuries. Known by many names throughout history, Hy-Brasil is a land that has been said to appear and disappear just beyond the horizon in the mists of the Atlantic Ocean. Hy-Brasil's earliest mentions appear in Irish mythology, where it is described as an island that was a paradise, lush, fertile, and rich with wildlife. In the mythological tales, it was said to be the home of the Brisal, a race of wise and supernatural beings who lived in harmony with the natural world. Some accounts even describe Hy-Brasil as a utopia, with wondrous cities and magical realms, a place where time flowed differently. It was a land of knowledge, beauty, and peace, far removed from the struggles of the known world. But as time went on, the myth of Hy-Brasil began to shift. Instead of being a realm of gods or mythical beings, it became the subject of a more earthly human curiosity, an island that could be found, but only by those with the right knowledge, or perhaps by those with enough luck to stumble upon it. The first known European reference to Hy-Brasil appears in the Ptolemaic maps of the 2nd century CE, where it was shown as an island to the west of Ireland. But it was no ordinary island. On these early maps, it was depicted as a land that existed in an almost otherworldly space, sometimes marked with mist or listed as disappearing from sight after a certain point in time. For centuries, sailors, explorers, and adventurers have sought to uncover the truth about Hy-Brasil. It became a sort of holy grail for seafaring men, an elusive prize that was said to offer untold riches and knowledge, a land where ancient wisdom awaited those who could find it. The story of its disappearance and reappearance only deepened the mystery. While many dismissed Hy-Brasil as mere myth, there were those who swore that they had seen the island with their own eyes, only for it to vanish when they tried to approach it. Perhaps the most intriguing element of the Hy-Brasil legend is the island's ability to appear and disappear at will. Accounts from sailors in the 16th century claim that they had seen the island from a distance, only to watch in bewilderment as it faded from view, swallowed by the fog or obscured by the changing tides. Even as early as the 15th century, Irish maps depicted Hy-Brasil, often showing it off the coast of Ireland, but the island's location was always vague and fluctuating. Some suggested that it lay somewhere in the Atlantic, just beyond the western horizon, but no one could ever pinpoint its exact location. According to these reports, the island appeared at certain times of the year, only to vanish again, like a mirage. Was it a real landmass, or was it simply a trick of the light, an optical illusion caused by fog, tides, or weather patterns? This shifting, mysterious nature of Hy-Brasil invites the possibility that it was not an island at all, but rather an ancient, lost city, or even a mirage, something that perhaps never truly existed in the form we think it did. Some have suggested that the island was an ancient place that had once thrived but was gradually submerged beneath the waves due to rising sea levels or catastrophic events like earthquakes. Perhaps it was an island like Atlantis, a place of grandeur and knowledge that was lost to history and eventually forgotten by most, leaving only a fragmented memory of its existence. But where exactly could such a place be? While many maps from the 16th and 17th centuries show Hy-Brasil as lying just off the coast of Ireland, other accounts place it further south or west, near the Azores, or even close to the Canary Islands. Some sailors even described the island as being part of the Americas, suggesting it could be located somewhere near modern-day Brazil. Others believed that the island was part of a much larger, undiscovered landmass, and that its elusive nature had to do with some ancient secret or natural phenomenon that kept it hidden from the world. One of the most captivating stories about Hy-Brasil comes from the 16th century explorer Martin Waldseemüller, who mapped the island on his world map. Waldseemüller was an experienced cartographer and was known for his detailed, often fantastical maps of the world. His inclusion of Hy-Brasil on his maps only added to the intrigue. According to Waldseemüller's account, the island was not simply a mist-covered landmass, but a place of mysterious power. Some even suggested that the island was part of an ancient, advanced civilization whose technology had been lost to time. In 1674, the island was supposedly seen by a group of sailors led by Captain John Nisbet, who reported seeing the magnificent island, only to lose sight of it shortly after. What these sailors saw remains a matter of speculation, as there are no surviving records to corroborate their claims. Perhaps they were victims of the shifting tides, seeing a temporary landmass appear briefly before it was swallowed by fog or high waters. But the accounts of those who believe they have glimpsed Hy-Brasil are not limited to early explorers and sailors. In more modern times, the island has continued to captivate the minds of conspiracy theorists, cryptozoologists, and those who search for answers in the hidden corners of the world. Some claim that the island is not simply an optical illusion or a mirage, but is actually a dimensional anomaly, an island that exists in a separate reality, visible only for short moments before it fades back into the ether. There are those who have suggested that Hy-Brasil is not a physical place at all, but a metaphysical concept, a land of the spirit, or an astral plane that can only be accessed by certain individuals at specific points in time. This idea, deeply rooted in esoteric thought, suggests that Hy-Brasil represents an unattainable ideal, a place of hidden knowledge, truth, and enlightenment, accessible only to the initiated or the spiritually attuned. According to this theory, the island may appear and disappear as a form of spiritual trial, appearing only to those who are worthy, or perhaps only when the conditions are right for its appearance. Is it possible that the island of Hy-Brasil holds some deeper significance, a truth buried beneath the layers of myth, legend, and speculation? What if the island isn't just a forgotten place, but a symbol, a reminder of an ancient world, long lost, that once stood on the threshold of discovery? Perhaps the mystery of Hy-Brasil is not just a quest for a physical island, but a search for something far more elusive, something that speaks to the limits of human knowledge and the vastness of the unknown. Could Hy-Brasil be a metaphor for the uncharted territories of the mind, or for the mysteries that lie just beyond the edge of our understanding? As we search for answers to the enigma of Hy-Brasil, the island's shadow lingers over us, challenging us to question what is real and what is imagined. What truths remain hidden beneath the fog of history, waiting to be uncovered? In the end, perhaps the greatest mystery is not in finding the island, but in understanding why it remains so elusive. Why, after all these centuries, it continues to appear on maps and in the minds of those who search for it, yet never seems to reveal itself to those who seek it most. Beyond the well-known legends of Atlantis and El Dorado lies another captivating tale, a story of a sunken kingdom, shrouded in mist and mystery, waiting to be rediscovered. This is the story of Lyonesse, an ancient land that, according to legend, once flourished in the waters of the English Channel, but disappeared beneath the waves in a single catastrophic event. Lyonesse is a place whose very existence is uncertain, a realm that straddles the line between history and myth, a forgotten civilization that may hold the key to unlocking the secrets of the past. Lyonesse is most commonly associated with Cornwall, a rugged and mystical region in southwestern England, known for its rich folklore, dramatic coastlines, and a deep connection to the Arthurian legends. In these stories, Lyonesse is described as a kingdom of great wealth and beauty, ruled by a powerful and wise king. It is a land of fertile plains, abundant wildlife, and cities of remarkable splendor. But like many lost civilizations, its fate was sealed when the forces of nature, be they divine wrath, earthly upheaval, or something else entirely, sank it beneath the waves. The earliest references to Lyonesse can be found in Arthurian legend, particularly in the Vulgate cycle, a collection of medieval French texts that explore the stories of King Arthur and his knights. According to these accounts, Lyonesse was an idyllic kingdom situated just off the coast of Cornwall, a land of prosperity and magic, where the people lived in peace and harmony with the natural world. It was said to be an ancient place, dating back to a time long before the rise of the Arthurian court. In one version of the legend, Lyonesse is the home of King Arthur's uncle, King Bon of Benwick, whose daughter Elaine is the mother of the knight Lancelot. The story suggests that the kingdom of Lyonesse was once a mighty realm, but fell victim to an apocalyptic flood that submerged it forever, drowning its cities and inhabitants. Some versions of the legend claim that the land of Lyonesse was cursed, its downfall the result of defying divine will, while others suggest that the flooding was merely the result of a natural disaster. Either way, the land was lost to time, and the tale of its demise became a somber part of the greater mythos surrounding King Arthur. But the story of Lyonesse does not exist solely within the pages of legend. Over the centuries, many have wondered whether there might be some kernel of truth hidden beneath the fantastical elements of the tale. Could there have been a real kingdom lost to the sea whose story has been passed down through the generations? Is Lyonesse a true historical place, now swallowed by the tides of time, or is it purely the product of myth and imagination? The search for evidence of Lyonesse has been a long and fascinating one. Some of the earliest references to a sunken land in the region date back to the 12th century, with mention of a place called Lyonesse in ancient chronicles. Yet it wasn't until the 19th century that serious attention was given to the idea of a submerged kingdom off the coast of Cornwall. One of the most intriguing pieces of evidence comes from the Cornish coastline, where the submerged Lizard Peninsula and the surrounding area have long been the subject of exploration and study. Local legend holds that, on clear days, the lost cities of Lyonesse can be seen beneath the waters, their towering spires and crumbling walls rising up from the sea floor. For centuries, fishermen and sailors have claimed to see the ghostly remains of the lost kingdom just beneath the waves, particularly at low tide. These reports, while anecdotal, add to the mystery of Lyonesse, suggesting that the land may not be as entirely forgotten as some believe. Archaeological and geological studies of the English Channel have uncovered evidence of ancient landmasses that were once above sea level but were submerged due to rising waters. In fact, during the last ice age, much of what is now the Channel was part of the mainland, and many speculate that a significant part of the ancient coastline could have been gradually drowned as sea levels rose. This theory, known as the submerged landscape theory, posits that there could have been real settlements, civilizations, and even entire regions now hidden beneath the waves. Their remains only accessible through advanced sonar technology or future underwater excavations. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence for the existence of a lost kingdom like Lyonesse comes from the land of the dead narratives shared by the indigenous peoples of Cornwall. These stories tell of a sunken or hidden land that once existed but was swallowed by the sea. While the specifics of these legends differ, they often feature themes of betrayal, divine punishment, and the catastrophic destruction of an advanced civilization. In the 19th century, the famed Cornish antiquarian Richard Polwhele wrote about Lyonesse, noting that many Cornish people still believed the land existed just beneath the waves. While these ancient tales point to a lost civilization, there is no concrete evidence to definitively prove the existence of a kingdom like Lyonesse. Many experts suggest that Lyonesse might not have been an entire kingdom, but rather a symbolic representation of the power of the ocean and its ability to both give and take life. According to this view, the idea of a sunken city is less a literal event and more an allegorical reflection of the constant cycle of creation and destruction that shapes human history. Still, the idea that Lyonesse could be more than a myth is hard to dismiss. In the late 19th century, some explorers began to speculate that Lyonesse was a true historical site, and that its ruins could one day be uncovered by modern technology. It was suggested that the island, or landmass, might lie somewhere off the coast of Penzance, one of Cornwall's most historic towns near the Scilly Isles. Some even claimed that the remains of Lyonesse could be found underwater, near the Seven Stones Reef, where a series of submerged rocks have been the subject of much speculation. Yet, even with modern sonar equipment and underwater exploration technologies, no definitive evidence of Lyonesse has been found. Some suggest that this is simply due to the difficulty of searching in the deep, often turbulent waters of the English Channel, while others speculate that the island might be located far from where we expect, hidden deep beneath the surface. Other theories about the lost land of Lyonesse lean toward more mystical or fringe explanations. Some claim that Lyonesse is not a physical place at all, but an allegorical land, representing the lost glories of past civilizations or the fading of an ancient spiritual tradition. In this view, the legend of Lyonesse serves as a reminder of humanity's fleeting nature, the inevitable rise and fall of great civilizations, and the power of the natural world to reclaim what it once gave. There is also a theory that Lyonesse could have been a place that existed in a parallel reality, or on a different plane of existence. In this speculative view, the kingdom could have been a metaphysical space that only certain people could access at certain times. Was Lyonesse a place of such wisdom and enlightenment that it transcended the physical realm, existing now only as a myth, a memory? As we delve deeper into the legend of Lyonesse, one thing is clear: the mystery remains unsolved, the search for its existence continuing. Is it a kingdom that was once real but has now disappeared beneath the waves? Or is it a metaphor, a story meant to remind us of the transience of power, beauty, and life itself? The tales of Lyonesse have lingered for centuries, refusing to be forgotten, and perhaps that is the greatest mystery of all. Could the lost kingdom of Lyonesse still lie hidden beneath the sea, waiting for its secrets to be uncovered? Or is its true nature far more elusive, perhaps even beyond the reach of those who seek to understand it? Only time, and the deep mysteries of the ocean, may one day tell. In the ancient annals of history, certain cities stand out not just for their grandeur, but for their enigmatic disappearance, cities whose very existence remains shrouded in mystery. One such city is Iram of the Pillars, a place that has captivated the imagination of historians, archaeologists, and adventurers for millennia. Known primarily through the Quran, where it is referred to as the City of the Odd People, Iram has long been the subject of myth and speculation. But is it purely a legend, or does the city of Iram hold a kernel of truth, waiting to be uncovered beneath the shifting sands of time? Iram is described as a vast and flourishing city, built by the Odd People, who are said to have lived in the Arabian Peninsula long before the time of the Prophet Muhammad. The city is famously known for its immense pillars, massive stone columns that supported grand palaces and temples, making the city appear as a monument to the power and wealth of its inhabitants. These columns, towering above the land, have become a symbol of the city's lost majesty and its eventual tragic fall. Iram was, according to legend, a city of incredible prosperity, a place where wealth, knowledge, and civilization thrived. But like so many stories of ancient cities, Iram's downfall was as sudden as it was complete. According to both the Quran and various Arabian traditions, Iram was destroyed by a cataclysmic event. The Odd People are said to have grown arrogant, turning away from their god and engaging in sinful practices. In response, the city was struck by a terrible disaster, often described as a powerful wind or sandstorm that flattened the city and scattered its people to the winds. Iram, once a land of opulence, vanished from history, its pillars toppled and its streets abandoned, and with it, the Odd People were lost, their once glorious civilization reduced to nothing more than a fading memory. Despite the tragic tale that surrounds the fall of Iram, the city's precise location remains one of history's greatest mysteries. Over the centuries, scholars, explorers, and archaeologists have searched the deserts of the Arabian Peninsula for evidence of Iram's existence. The city is frequently associated with the Rub al-Khali, or the Empty Quarter, one of the most inhospitable and vast deserts on Earth. It is a land of scorching heat, shifting sand dunes, and an almost eerie silence. The idea that a grand city could have once stood in such a desolate place only adds to the allure of Iram and its fabled pillars. Many have speculated that Iram might be nothing more than a myth, a cautionary tale woven into the fabric of ancient oral traditions. After all, there are no direct archaeological records or clear evidence that such a city ever existed. And yet, the fact that the story of Iram has persisted for so long, spanning cultures, regions, and centuries, suggests that there may be some truth hidden in the legend. Could there have been a real city at one time, lost to the sands of time? Or has the story of Iram evolved into a symbol of destruction and hubris, a mythic reminder of the fragility of human greatness? One theory that has persisted for years is that Iram was a thriving city that was eventually swallowed up by the desert. The Empty Quarter, with its endless dunes and shifting sands, is a region of mystery in its own right. Archaeological expeditions to the area have uncovered signs of ancient settlements, some of which could be related to the lost Odd civilization. But despite these discoveries, no definitive evidence of a grand city with monumental pillars has yet been found. The search for Iram remains ongoing, but the unforgiving desert environment makes excavation and exploration incredibly challenging. A number of theories have emerged in recent years about the potential location of Iram. Some researchers have suggested that Iram may have once existed near the Oman or Yemen borders, where ancient ruins and artifacts have been uncovered. These sites, with their evidence of past civilizations, have sparked speculation that Iram might lie beneath the shifting sands of the Arabian Peninsula's southern regions. Meanwhile, others believe that Iram might have been located closer to the Persian Gulf, where several ancient trade routes converged. The idea that Iram was a powerful trading city, known for its wealth and cultural significance, would fit well with its described prominence in the ancient world. The remnants of such a city could be hidden beneath centuries of sand, lost to time and climate change. But as yet, no concrete evidence has emerged to prove that Iram was anything more than a tale passed down through the generations. For many, however, the search for Iram is not just about uncovering the remains of a city, but about understanding the deeper meaning of its disappearance. The legend of Iram seems to carry with it a profound warning. It speaks of the consequences of pride, arrogance, and excess. The fall of Iram is portrayed as a punishment, a direct response to the moral failings of its people. Perhaps the story of Iram serves as a reminder that civilizations, no matter how powerful or prosperous, are always vulnerable to the forces of nature or divine retribution. It is a narrative that echoes throughout history, appearing in countless cultures and religions, where the downfall of a mighty city is often portrayed as a reflection of human folly and arrogance. Yet there are also more speculative theories that place Iram within the realm of the supernatural. Some suggest that the destruction of Iram might have been caused by an event beyond human comprehension, an event that transcended the limits of the natural world. Could the city's fate have been sealed by something more than just the wrath of a god? Was it struck by a force that we are yet to fully understand, something akin to a cosmic event or a lost technology from a forgotten civilization? Perhaps the mystery of Iram lies not in its physical location, but in the nature of its destruction. Could it have been wiped from existence through a catastrophic event, an ancient war, or some kind of environmental disaster? The shifting sands of the Arabian Peninsula, combined with the absence of clear archaeological evidence, suggest that the city may indeed have been buried under the relentless passage of time, leaving only the faintest echoes of its existence in the stories passed down through the centuries. The story of Iram of the Pillars invites us to reflect on the fragility of human civilization. It challenges us to think about how great cities rise, flourish, and then disappear, sometimes leaving no trace but the myths that endure. Whether Iram was a real city, a metaphorical tale, or a myth that evolved over time, its enduring legacy continues to captivate the imagination of those who seek to uncover the truths of the past. So, what remains of Iram? Is the city merely a relic of legend, or is it buried somewhere, waiting to be uncovered? Will the story of the Odd people and their legendary city of Iram continue to echo through time? And if the city is ever found, will it reveal secrets that challenge our understanding of ancient history? These questions continue to linger as the sands of time slowly shift over the mysteries of the past. As the waves of history crash against the shores of time, few stories persist with the same allure as that of the 7 cities of Cibola. Tucked into the annals of Spanish exploration and Native American legend, these cities are said to have been rich with gold, precious gems, and unimaginable wealth, a paradise hidden somewhere in the arid deserts of the American Southwest. But for centuries, despite countless expeditions and fervent searches, the 7 cities of Cibola have remained elusive, vanishing like mirages in the desert heat, their true location and their very existence still the subject of debate and speculation. The myth of Cibola first emerged in the early 16th century, during the height of Spanish exploration in the Americas. The story originated from the indigenous peoples of the Southwest, who spoke of ancient cities of unparalleled riches, cities that once stood in the heart of the desert but were now lost to time. These legends found their way to the ears of Spanish conquistadors, hungry for treasure and glory, fueling the imagination of explorers like Francisco Vázquez de Coronado. In 1540, Coronado set out from Mexico with a vast army of soldiers, missionaries, and settlers determined to find the 7 cities of Cibola. The legend told of 7 cities, each one built of golden stone and said to contain treasures beyond comprehension. These were not mere villages or settlements, but grand cities, brimming with wealth, waiting to be plundered by those bold enough to seek them. In the minds of the conquistadors, the 7 cities of Cibola represented the ultimate prize, a land where gold flowed like water, where empires were built not on soil and labor, but on the wealth of the earth itself. As Coronado ventured into the deserts of what is now Arizona and New Mexico, he and his men crossed barren landscapes, braving the unforgiving sun and the harsh conditions of the Southwest. Yet, as they pressed on, they encountered not the glittering cities of legend, but small, humble pueblos, home to the indigenous Zuni and Pueblo peoples, long-established communities whose riches were not of gold, but of knowledge, culture, and endurance. Coronado's expedition was ultimately fruitless, as the fabled cities of Cibola remained as elusive as ever, their golden promises forever out of reach. Despite the failure of Coronado's expedition, the legend of Cibola did not fade. On the contrary, it became an enduring myth in the Spanish imagination, as explorers, missionaries, and treasure hunters continued to chase after the lost cities. But as the centuries passed, the stories of Cibola grew stranger, more fantastical, and more uncertain. What had once been an imagined treasure trove became an even more tantalizing enigma. If Cibola had truly existed, where had it gone? And if not, why did the myth persist for so long? To understand the persistence of the 7 cities of Cibola, one must examine the role of oral tradition and cultural exchange in the creation of myths. The indigenous peoples of the American Southwest had long told stories of ancient cities, of ruins buried in the desert, of lost civilizations that had once thrived in the arid landscapes. These tales, passed down through generations, began to take on a life of their own when the Spanish arrived. Whether these stories were rooted in historical truth or were purely symbolic, they captured the imagination of the Europeans, who interpreted them through their own lens, one focused on wealth, conquest, and divine providence. The possibility of real cities hidden in the desert was, of course, an attractive proposition for European explorers. The Spanish crown, motivated by the success of their conquests in the Caribbean and Mexico, wanted to extend its reach further into North America. And so, the legend of the 7 cities of Cibola fueled the dreams of countless explorers. But as more expeditions were launched, it became increasingly clear that the cities of gold were not materializing as hoped. Some theorized that the cities were not to be found in the deserts of the Southwest, but perhaps hidden deeper in the unexplored regions of California or even beyond the Rocky Mountains. Today, we are left to wonder, were the 7 cities of Cibola a real place? Were they cities that once existed but were lost to time, buried beneath the shifting sands, or erased by natural disaster? Or are they nothing more than a mythic creation, a reflection of human longing for riches and the divine, born of the cultural exchanges between the native tribes and the foreign explorers? The answer remains elusive. One of the most popular modern theories posits that the 7 cities of Cibola were based on real settlements, perhaps ancient ruins in the southwest or in the region of Mesoamerica, whose native populations spoke of cities far more advanced than the Spanish had imagined. The search for Cibola continues to this day, with archaeologists and treasure hunters scouring the desert for signs of lost ruins. Yet, despite advances in technology, no one has been able to conclusively identify the location of these cities. In fact, many of the supposed ruins identified as Cibola over the years have turned out to be nothing more than natural rock formations or misunderstood artifacts. Could it be that the 7 cities of Cibola were never cities at all, but rather symbolic representations of ancient ideas, perhaps reflections of the deep spiritual or cultural significance of desert settlements to the indigenous people? The desert, with its vast emptiness and harsh beauty, is often seen as a place of both death and rebirth, a place where the past and present meet, where civilizations rise and fall. Is it possible that the 7 cities were not the golden metropolises dreamed of by the Europeans, but representations of the lost knowledge of the past, buried not in gold, but in story and memory? There is also the tantalizing possibility that the legend of the 7 cities of Cibola was inspired by the true riches found in the nearby regions of Mexico and Central America. Aztec and Maya civilizations, with their grand pyramids, golden treasures, and sprawling cities, certainly left an impression on the Spanish explorers, who may have projected their discoveries onto the myths of the Southwest. Could the Spanish conquistadors have mistakenly conflated the stories of Cibola with the splendor of Tenochtitlan, the legendary Mayan cities, or other ancient cultures further south? Perhaps the 7 cities were never in the desert at all, but further down the path of exploration, lost in the lure of an even greater empire. For some, however, the answer may lie in the realm of hidden knowledge or lost civilizations. Could it be that the 7 cities of Cibola were not destroyed by time or war, but were instead intentionally hidden by a sophisticated society that sought to protect their secrets from foreign invaders? This theory, though speculative, proposes that the cities were abandoned and their locations concealed, perhaps through a network of oral traditions designed to keep outsiders from finding them. The idea of hidden cities is not a new one. From the fabled city of El Dorado in the jungles of South America to the city of Atlantis beneath the ocean, stories of lost cities, whether rooted in truth or myth, have long captivated the human imagination. Perhaps the 7 cities of Cibola belong to this same category of legends, waiting for the right conditions, the right explorers, and the right technologies to uncover their secrets. As we continue to search for the 7 cities of Cibele, one thing remains clear. The story of these cities, whether real or imagined, is one that will not be forgotten. The legend lives on, passed down through centuries, fueled by the hope that one day the sands of time will reveal the treasures hidden beneath them. And perhaps, in the end, that is the true allure of the 7 cities. Not the wealth they are said to contain, but the enduring mystery of a world long past, waiting to be discovered. High in the Andes Mountains, veiled beneath the clouds and mists that cling to the rugged peaks, lies a story that has tantalized adventurers, historians, and treasure seekers for centuries. It is a tale of a city so grand, so enigmatic, that it has become known only by its haunting title. The City of the Caesars. A place of gold, mystical power, and immense wealth, it is said to be hidden deep within the mountains. A paradise that vanished without a trace, its location a mystery that has baffled explorers for generations. The legend of the City of the Caesars first emerged in the early 16th century, during the Spanish conquest of South America. It was here, in the highlands of the Andes, that the conquistadors first encountered whispers of a lost city, a place rich in treasures, ruled by an ancient race of kings. The city, they were told, was hidden deep within the mountains, shielded by a labyrinth of valleys and ridges, protected by the very geography of the land itself. But it was not just gold and jewels that attracted the Spanish explorers. It was the promise of knowledge, of ancient secrets, and of a civilization far older and more advanced than anything the Europeans had encountered before. The story of the City of the Caesars was passed down through generations of indigenous peoples, from the Mapuche in the south to the Quechua in the north. These peoples spoke of a city built by Caesar-like rulers whose power rivaled the greatest empires of the world. The city was said to be a place of incredible beauty and mystical energy, where the kings and queens lived in palatial homes of gold, surrounded by treasures beyond imagination. Some accounts suggest that the rulers of this city possessed knowledge of ancient technologies or secret wisdom, far beyond anything known to the outside world. But as quickly as the city was said to exist, it disappeared, vanishing without a trace. Some claimed that the City of the Caesars had been swallowed up by the mountains themselves, its towering stone structures and glittering treasures lost forever. Others said that the city had been abandoned, its inhabitants fleeing before the encroaching European colonists. In any case, the city became little more than a legend, its existence the subject of debate, speculation, and myth. Yet, despite its intangible nature, the mystery of the City of the Caesars has remained alive, captivating the minds of explorers and historians to this day. The most well-known and compelling accounts of the City of the Caesars come from Spanish explorers and conquistadors who, drawn by the promise of untold wealth, sought to find the fabled city. Among the most famous of these adventurers was Don Diego de Almagro, a prominent figure in the early years of the Spanish conquest. In 1536, Almagro led an expedition into the Andes, hoping to find the city that had so often been described in the stories of the indigenous peoples. His expedition, however, was fraught with difficulties. The harsh terrain, the lack of reliable maps, and the constant threat of resistance from native tribes made the journey perilous. Despite this, Almagro pressed on, eventually reaching the highlands of modern-day Chile. The most intriguing aspect of Almagro's journey is the way in which the City of the Caesars became intertwined with the search for El Dorado, the mythical city of gold. As Almagro ventured deeper into the Andes, he became convinced that the city he sought was the same one spoken of in the stories of the Inca Empire. The ancient Inca ruins, with their stone structures and elaborate terraces, seemed to lend credence to the idea that a vast and sophisticated civilization had once flourished in the highlands. And yet, despite extensive searches, Almagro and his men never found the fabled city, Following Almagro's expedition, other explorers set out to find the city of the Caesars. Some followed the trails he had left behind, while others took new paths in search of clues. But despite their efforts, the city remained elusive, its location as uncertain as ever. Some believed that the city lay hidden in the mountainous regions of Argentina, while others pointed to areas in southern Chile. There were even rumors that the city had once been located in what is now Patagonia, a land so remote and inhospitable that it would have been nearly impossible for the city to survive the passage of time. One of the most intriguing aspects of the City of the Caesars legend is the lack of definitive evidence. Unlike other lost cities, such as El Dorado or the lost city of Z, no physical trace of the City of the Caesars has ever been found. Archaeological expeditions to the Andes have uncovered evidence of ancient settlements, including Inca cities, Moche temples, and Nazca lines, but none have led to the discovery of the fabled City of Gold. Yet, some believe that the absence of evidence only adds to the mystery, suggesting that the city may have been intentionally hidden, whether by its original inhabitants or by the forces of nature itself. Several theories have emerged over the years to explain the city's disappearance. One theory suggests that the City of the Caesars was simply a myth, a story created by indigenous peoples to explain the wealth and power of the Spanish invaders. In this interpretation, the city was never a physical place at all, but a symbol of the greed and ambition of the conquistadors. Yet, for many, this explanation does not fully account for the persistence of the legend and the fact that so many explorers throughout history have been drawn to the Andes in search of the city. Another theory posits that the City of the Caesars was destroyed, either by natural disasters, war, or some other calamity. The region is known for its volatile geology, with earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and landslides occurring with alarming frequency. Could it be that the city was buried beneath the earth, lost to time and nature? Or perhaps the city was abandoned, its people fleeing from external threats or internal collapse, leaving behind no trace of their once great civilization. There is also the possibility that the City of the Caesars was simply forgotten, a lost civilization, left to fade into obscurity. Many indigenous cultures in the Andes built high-altitude cities, many of which have never been fully explored. Some of these settlements, such as Machu Picchu or Tiwanaku, were hidden for centuries before being rediscovered by explorers in the 19th and 20th centuries. Could it be that the City of the Caesars is yet to be uncovered, buried beneath the rubble of time? Still, other theories suggest that the city may have been built by a pre-Inca civilization, one that was wiped out before the rise of the Inca Empire. In this scenario, the city would have been abandoned long before the Spanish arrived, with only the legend of its riches remaining to be passed down through generations. Perhaps the most tantalizing theory is that the City of the Caesars was not abandoned, but intentionally hidden, its treasures protected from outsiders. The geography of the Andes is notoriously treacherous, with deep valleys, steep cliffs, and dense forests that would have made it nearly impossible for the Spanish to locate the city. It's possible that the rulers of the city used their knowledge of the land to conceal their kingdom from the outside world, leaving only whispers and legends in their wake. Whatever the truth may be, the City of the Caesars continues to capture the imagination of those who seek its riches and secrets. Its legend endures, carried on by the explorers who continue to search the rugged peaks of the Andes. But as with all great mysteries, the questions surrounding the City of the Caesars remain unanswered. Was it a city of gold, built by ancient kings? Was it a place of mystical knowledge, hidden away from the world? Or was it a mere creation of myth, a story woven into the fabric of South American culture? The city's location remains a mystery, lost in the mists of time, waiting for the right person, or perhaps the right set of circumstances, to unlock its secrets. Hidden beneath the waves of the Atlantic, submerged somewhere off the coast of modern-day Brittany, France, lies one of the most enduring legends in Western Europe. Ys, the Sunken City. Described as a place of incredible wealth and beauty, Ys was once said to be the capital of a great kingdom, ruled by wise and just kings. However, it met a tragic fate, submerged beneath the sea, drowning in a catastrophe so complete that it erased the city's very existence from the earth. But did Ys ever truly exist? Or is it simply the product of folklore, born from the imagination of ancient storytellers? The truth remains elusive, hidden beneath layers of time, myth, and, perhaps, the very waves that consumed it. The story of Ys first appeared in written records during the Middle Ages, although the legend itself may have originated much earlier, woven into the oral traditions of the Celtic peoples who inhabited the region. According to the tale, Ys was a grand city, beautiful, prosperous, and heavily fortified, situated on the coast of Brittany, a land known for its dramatic cliffs and rugged beauty. Some accounts describe it as a shining beacon of civilization, a city of marble, with streets lined with golden columns and towering palaces. The people of Ys were said to live in peace and plenty, blessed by the favor of the gods. It was a city without equal, a symbol of mankind's highest achievement. The city's downfall, however, is as striking as its rise. According to the legend, the downfall of Ys was brought about by human hubris and divine retribution. The city was ruled by a king named Gradlon, a figure whose ambition and desire for power ultimately led to tragedy. He was said to have made a pact with the sea, trading his kingdom's prosperity for protection from enemies. Yet, as with many stories of deals struck with the divine or supernatural forces, the consequences of this bargain were dire. The sea god, or, in some versions of the tale, the devil, demanded a terrible price for his protection. It is said that the city's inhabitants grew increasingly reckless as they relied on the sea's power to shield them from all harm. Eventually, the city was flooded, swallowed whole by the sea in a cataclysmic event, drowning its people and erasing it from the face of the earth. Some versions of the legend claim that the city's king, Gradlon, survived the catastrophe, fleeing with his daughter, Azelma, who was also spared. But as with all great myths, the line between truth and symbolism becomes blurred. Was the tale a warning against pride and greed? Or was it an actual historical event, a memory of a great flood, an ancient disaster whose true origins have been lost in the haze of time? The legend of Ys has captivated writers, artists, and historians for centuries, drawing comparisons to other famous tales of lost civilizations, such as Atlantis, Pompeii, and even the biblical story of Noah's flood. It has inspired numerous interpretations, each adding its own layer to the city's mythos. Yet, despite the city's prominent place in Celtic mythology and its echo in medieval literature, no archaeological evidence has ever been found to prove that Ys existed in any physical form. The search for its true location has become an intellectual pursuit for some, a treasure hunt for others. Yet, like many such legends, the lines between myth and history remain stubbornly elusive. Scholars have speculated for years about the origins of the Ys legend. Some believe that it may have been inspired by an actual ancient settlement, now long lost beneath the sea, and later exaggerated through the lens of mythology. Others argue that the story of Ys is purely symbolic, a cautionary tale meant to convey moral lessons about the dangers of human pride and the unpredictable forces of nature. In a region as steeped in history as Brittany, it is not surprising that such a legend would have arisen. The coastline is dotted with ancient ruins, many of which date back to the Celtic and Roman periods. These ancient peoples, with their intricate understanding of tides, rivers, and the sea, often lived close to the water, building cities and fortifications that were sometimes lost to the relentless waves of the ocean. Could Ys have been one of these settlements, a real city that fell victim to a great flood, perhaps a tsunami or a natural disaster, which eventually erased it from human memory? In modern times, the search for Ys has taken on a more literal and scientific dimension. Many have attempted to identify the sunken city with real locations along the coast of Brittany, where ancient ruins might lie submerged beneath the waves. One of the most widely discussed possibilities is Ile de Seine, a small island off the coast of Brittany. Some theorists have suggested that this island could be the remains of the mythical Ys, citing the island's strategic location, its proximity to the mainland, and the underwater ruins found near the island's shores. However, this theory remains speculative at best, and no definitive archaeological evidence has been found to prove a direct connection between Ile de Seine and the lost city of Ys. The idea of sunken cities is not unique to Ys. Across the world, similar legends have emerged, each with its own variation on the theme of a city swallowed by water. There are the submerged ruins of Herakleion and Alexandria in Egypt, the mysterious remains of Pavlopetri in Greece, and the haunting city of Dwarka off the coast of India. These cities, though real, were buried by the relentless force of nature or the passage of time. The existence of Uz, however, remains an open question. If it was once a real city, where did it go? Was it destroyed by a natural disaster, or was it simply abandoned and lost, its memory fading into the annals of history? A compelling possibility lies in the idea that Ys is not the result of one catastrophic event, but a metaphor for the unstable relationship between human civilization and the forces of nature. Throughout history, communities have struggled with the unpredictable power of the sea. Cities along coastlines have always faced the threat of storms, floods, and erosion. Could the story of Ys represent a collective memory of these dangers, encoded in the form of a city that was consumed by the ocean? Some researchers have proposed that the myth of Ys could have been inspired by the rising sea levels at the end of the last ice age. As the glaciers melted, the Earth's oceans rose, submerging many coastal regions around the world. Is it possible that ancient peoples of the region witnessed the flooding of a city or village and passed down the story through generations? Or perhaps the sea god of the legend represents an ancient understanding of the ocean's unpredictable and dangerous power, something that the people of Ys sought to control, only to be overwhelmed by it. Another theory posits that Ys was never meant to be a literal city at all. Rather, the legend may be a spiritual allegory, one that explores humanity's relationship with the divine and the natural world. The idea of a city built on the edge of the sea, ruled by a king who makes a pact with a sea god, may symbolize the tension between civilization and nature, between man's ambition and nature's wrath. In this interpretation, Ys is not a physical city, but a cautionary tale meant to remind us of the fragility of human endeavor in the face of forces far beyond our control. Whatever the truth may be, the city of Ys continues to captivate the imagination of those who seek answers to the mysteries of the past. Its legend has lived on for centuries, its tale told and retold in books, songs, and poems. The possibility of uncovering the sunken city still lingers on the horizon, like a glimmer of gold just beneath the waves, an allure that promises not only treasure, but the answers to questions that have eluded humankind for generations. Will the truth of Ys ever be revealed? Or will it remain forever submerged, just out of reach, as one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of history? For centuries, the City of Avalon has occupied a place at the heart of legend, woven deeply into the tapestry of Arthurian mythology. It is said to be a land of healing, a city of mystical power, where kings were laid to rest and magical beings dwelled. According to the lore, Avalon was not merely a city, but a mystical island, one that lay hidden away from the world. It was a place where Arthur, the legendary king of the Britons, was taken after his final battle, wounded and dying, to be healed by the island's enchantments. But was Avalon a real place? Or does it remain forever entwined with the forces of myth, a city that vanished not in time, but in the realm of human imagination? The story of Avalon traces back to the earliest Arthurian legends. In most of the accounts, the island is described as a place of serenity and beauty, far removed from the wars and strife that marked the world of men. It is a place of timelessness, protected by its distance from the mortal realm, where mystical and sacred powers flourished. In some versions of the story, Avalon is portrayed as a place of magic, ruled by fairy queens or druidic priests who possess an intimate knowledge of the earth's forces. In others, it is a burial ground, a sanctified land where Arthur's sword, Excalibur, was also returned to the waters. It is here, in this otherworldly space, that Arthur's legend is said to live on, waiting for a time when he will return. What is so compelling about Avalon is its mystery, the ambiguity surrounding where it is located and whether it ever existed at all. Some say that Avalon exists only in the realm of the supernatural, beyond the reach of normal perception, but others have argued that there may be a physical location that inspired the myth. After all, numerous places in Britain and Europe have laid claim to being the true Avalon, with varying degrees of historical evidence supporting their claims. But no definitive answer has ever been provided. The most famous candidate for Avalon's location is the town of Glastonbury, located in Somerset, England. Here, the legend of Avalon has flourished for centuries, intertwined with the history of the Glastonbury Abbey. The connection between Avalon and Glastonbury is supported by several key pieces of folklore. According to one of the most popular versions of the tale, King Arthur and his queen, Guinevere, were both buried in Glastonbury Abbey, beneath an ancient yew tree. In the 12th century, the monks of Glastonbury claimed that they had discovered the grave of Arthur and Guinevere, a discovery that seemed to lend credence to the idea that the legendary king had been buried in Avalon's sacred soil. They even unearthed a wooden coffin with the name Arthur inscribed upon it, though historians have long debated whether this was a genuine relic or a later fabrication to capitalize on the growing popularity of the Arthurian myth. In addition to these claims, Glastonbury has been associated with a number of other mystical traditions that mirror the qualities of Avalon. The town lies near the Glastonbury Tor, a mysterious hill topped by a tower that has long been regarded as a site of spiritual significance. Many believe that the Tor is the gateway to Avalon, a place where the boundary between the physical and supernatural worlds is thin, allowing the energies of Avalon to seep into the mortal realm. The hill's peculiar shape and the presence of ancient ruins nearby have only deepened the air of mystery that surrounds it. Legends of a hidden city, buried beneath the earth or submerged beneath the waters of the Severn estuary, have persisted for centuries. But is Glastonbury truly the home of Avalon, or is it merely a convenient anchor for the myth? While the connection between the two is certainly strong, there are competing theories that suggest other locations across Europe as potential candidates. Some believe that Avalon is located on an island in the Mediterranean, possibly Corsica or Sicily, both of which have rich histories of ancient civilizations and are home to various mythical traditions. Others have proposed that Avalon may be a symbolic place, representing an idealized realm of spiritual awakening or healing, rather than a physical city with tangible geographical coordinates. The idea of Avalon as a mystical city links closely with the long-standing belief in otherworldly realms, such as the Celtic Otherworld or the Isle of the Blessed, places that exist just beyond human perception, inhabited by beings who are not bound by the same rules that govern the world of men. These realms are often described as paradisiacal, timeless spaces where sickness and death do not exist. Avalon, with its healing powers and its link to King Arthur's final resting place, fits neatly into this idea. Yet some theorists argue that Avalon's true nature may be more metaphorical than literal, that it is not a city at all, but rather a state of mind, a space where spiritual transcendence is possible. Some scholars have even posited that Avalon could be a memory of an ancient, lost civilization, a city that once existed in Britain or on an island off the coast, but was destroyed by cataclysmic events like rising sea levels or natural disasters. The idea of a lost city hidden away beneath the surface of the earth or swallowed by the sea has resonated with explorers and archaeologists for centuries. It's possible that Avalon was once a real place, known to ancient peoples but erased from history by the passage of time. Could Avalon have been a precursor to the great medieval castles and settlements that later emerged in the British Isles? Was it destroyed, forgotten, or deliberately concealed by its inhabitants, leaving only the legend behind? Perhaps most compelling is the notion that Avalon is a location that exists outside the conventional flow of time, a place where the boundaries between past, present, and future are blurred. Many proponents of this theory suggest that Avalon is an interdimensional space, a realm where time does not follow the rules of the physical world. In this sense, the idea of Avalon as a paradise island or healing city could be seen as an allegory for a higher state of being, accessible only to those who have transcended the limitations of ordinary perception. It is a place that cannot be found by maps or by conventional means of exploration. The search for Avalon, therefore, may not be a quest for a tangible city, but a journey into the heart of myth and spirituality. The story of Avalon raises essential questions about the nature of reality itself. What if Avalon is not a location, but a concept? What if it is not meant to be found, but experienced? For those who continue to search, the allure of Avalon remains strong. Perhaps, after all, the city was never lost at all. Maybe Avalon was meant to stay hidden, a sacred and eternal realm, only to be glimpsed by those who have the vision to see beyond the ordinary world. Or perhaps Avalon was never intended to be discovered at all, leaving us with only the mystery, the allure, and the possibility that it may still lie somewhere, just beyond the veil, waiting for someone to find it. Deep within the dense jungles of Chiapas, Mexico, hidden among the mist-shrouded mountains and beneath towering trees, lies one of the most intriguing and well-preserved sites of the ancient world, Palenque. The city, now a sprawling archaeological wonder, was once a jewel of the Maya civilization, a thriving metropolis known for its grandeur, intellectual prowess, and profound mysteries. As you walk among its towering structures, it's impossible not to feel the weight of its ancient past. But what was it about Palenque that made it such a formidable power in the Maya world? And why did it vanish so suddenly, leaving behind only the stone remnants of a once great city? Palenque, though never the largest of the Maya cities, was undoubtedly one of the most influential. Its buildings and monuments, with their distinctive architecture and intricate carvings, offer a glimpse into a sophisticated society that flourished between 600 and 800 AD. The city, which covers about 2.5 square kilometers, is scattered with ruins, temples, palaces, and tombs, each more awe-inspiring than the last. The centerpiece of the city is the Temple of the Inscriptions, a massive pyramid-like structure with a tomb hidden deep within its chambers. This temple houses the remains of King Pakal, one of the most famous Maya rulers, who ruled from 615 to 683 AD. His tomb, when discovered in 1952, yielded one of the most significant finds in Mayan archaeology, a stone sarcophagus containing a life-sized effigy of Pakal and a stunningly intricate stone lid, depicting the king's journey to the underworld. The Temple of the Inscriptions is a marvel of ancient engineering, but what lies within its walls is even more remarkable. As archaeologists unearthed Pakal's tomb, they discovered a wealth of symbolism embedded in the structure's design. Images of the king's journey to the underworld and his transformation into a divine figure, wrapped in the veil of Maya cosmology. The hieroglyphs on the tomb's walls recount his reign, his battles, and his divine ancestry, but they also leave behind questions that have yet to be answered. Was Pakal a mere ruler, or was he something more? A priest-king, a spiritual conduit who bridged the worlds of men and gods? The carvings and reliefs at Palenque speak to a civilization deeply connected to its environment, one that understood the interplay between life, death, and the spiritual realms. But despite the wealth of information offered by the ruins, Palenque remains a puzzle. One of the most perplexing aspects of the city is the abruptness with which it seems to have been abandoned. By the end of the 8th century, the once thriving metropolis, at the height of its power and influence, began to show signs of decline. The city's monumental temples, palaces, and water systems were no longer maintained, and by the time the Spanish arrived in the 16th century, Palenque was already forgotten by most. What caused Palenque's sudden downfall? Was it an internal collapse brought on by political strife or economic troubles? Or was it the result of external forces, an invasion by rival cities, or perhaps a natural disaster that devastated the region's delicate ecosystem? Evidence suggests that the city's decline was gradual, with signs of neglect and disrepair creeping into its structures in the years leading up to its abandonment. This gradual decline, however, raises more questions than answers. Why, after centuries of prosperity, would such a powerful city simply fade into obscurity? One possible explanation lies in the cyclical nature of Maya civilization itself. The classic Maya period, in which Palenque thrived, was marked by a series of internal and external stresses. Drought, overpopulation, and warfare were constant threats. The Maya were deeply dependent on their environment, especially the region's complex water management systems, and any disruption to these natural resources could have spelled disaster. Palenque's location, nestled in the foothills of the Chiapas Mountains, was advantageous in many ways, but it also left the city vulnerable to the encroaching forces of nature. A prolonged drought, such as those known to have affected the region during this period, could have severely impacted the city's ability to feed its population, leading to economic and social destabilization. Yet, while these explanations hold some weight, they fail to account for the city's unique architectural achievements. Palenque's buildings were not only massive, but innovative, incorporating elements of Maya cosmology into their design. The palace, with its distinctive multi-story structure and intricate carvings, was a marvel of engineering, but it also served a more symbolic purpose. Its decorations and layouts reflected the city's cosmic beliefs, designed to align with the stars and the forces of nature in a deliberate and calculated manner. Was this focus on celestial alignment merely practical, an attempt to harness the power of the natural world, or did it suggest a deeper connection to the divine? The mystery deepens further when we consider the possibility that the Maya, and particularly the rulers of Palenque, had a more profound understanding of the cosmos than we realize. Some researchers have speculated that the rulers of Palenque might have had access to knowledge of astronomy, mathematics, and the natural world that was beyond the capabilities of even the most advanced civilizations of the time. The detailed carvings on Palenque's temples, especially those in the Temple of the Inscriptions, suggest an understanding of time and space that seems almost otherworldly. Could the Maya have been using these advanced systems of knowledge to predict celestial events, or to map out the rhythms of the earth? And if so, why did such knowledge seem to disappear after Palenque's decline? There are also those who speculate that Palenque's rulers might have been in contact with external civilizations, cultures whose knowledge of mathematics and astronomy could have been far more advanced than what we typically associate with the ancient Maya. Some fringe theories propose that the Maya were not the only ones with a deep understanding of the universe, and that their knowledge might have been passed down through alien influences or connections with lost advanced civilizations. This idea, of course, is highly speculative, with little hard evidence to support it. But it raises an intriguing question. If the rulers of Palenque were truly the enlightened stewards of such an advanced culture, why did their civilization fade into obscurity? Was it a deliberate act? An intentional decision to withdraw from the world, leaving behind only the barest traces of their existence? Or did something more mysterious happen, causing their knowledge and influence to be lost to time? As we look at Palenque's ruins today, it is hard not to wonder, what was the true nature of this city? Was it simply a powerful but ultimately fleeting outpost of a dying civilization? Or was it something more? A city with secrets still buried beneath its stone walls, waiting to be uncovered by future generations. Perhaps the most tantalizing aspect of Palenque's legacy is not the monuments and the hieroglyphs left behind, but the mysteries that remain unanswered. What did the Maya truly understand about the cosmos? Was their connection to the divine as real as the stone carvings suggest? Or was it just a clever narrative designed to inspire awe? In the end, the city of Palenque remains as enigmatic as it was when it was first uncovered. A city that, in its silence, continues to whisper the secrets of an ancient world. Tucked away in the heart of the Pacific Ocean, on the small island of Pohnpei in the Federated States of Micronesia, lies one of the most puzzling and enigmatic archaeological sites in the world, Nan Madol. Known as the Venice of the Pacific, Nan Madol is a sprawling ancient city built upon a network of artificial islets in a lagoon, and often referred to as one of the most remarkable engineering feats of its time. The ruins of this lost city, with its towering stone structures and labyrinthine waterways, continue to captivate the imagination of archaeologists, historians, and explorers alike. But the deeper one looks into the city's origins and the mystery of its construction, the more questions arise about its true purpose, the culture that built it, and the reasons it was abandoned. Nan Madol, which translates to spaces between in the local language, is a vast complex of stone platforms and walls, spread across nearly 100 small islets connected by canals. These structures, built from massive basalt stones, seem out of place in such a remote part of the world. The sheer scale and complexity of the site suggest a level of sophistication and organization that would have been difficult for the early inhabitants of Pohnpei to achieve, and yet there it stands, a testament to their ingenuity. The ruins consist of around 92 man-made islets, each surrounded by canals, and some of the walls reach over 20 feet high, constructed with stones weighing several tons. What makes Nan Madol especially curious is the mystery of its construction. The massive stones, some of which are over 50 tons in weight, were transported across the island and assembled with an incredible level of precision. The question remains, how did the builders of Nan Madol, with their relatively limited technology, manage to transport and place these enormous stones? The labor required would have been staggering, and there is no obvious evidence of tools capable of such feats. Could they have used primitive technology, or is there a lost technology or technique that we have yet to understand? The city's most striking feature is its architectural design. The walls are not merely stacked stones. They are arranged in such a way that they fit perfectly with little to no mortar, leading some researchers to speculate that the builders may have had a knowledge of advanced engineering principles, such as interlocking stone construction. Others suggest that the city could have been constructed by a lost civilization with skills that we do not fully comprehend. The use of such massive, perfectly placed stones also raises questions about the cultural significance of the site. Was this simply a city? Or was Nan Madol a ritual center, a temple complex, or something entirely different? For centuries, local legends have intertwined with the facts surrounding Nan Madol, adding to its allure and mystique. The Pohnpeian people speak of the Sogdians dynasty, a powerful ruling family that supposedly ruled over the city from around 1100 AD. According to oral traditions, the dynasty built Nan Madol as a center for political power and ritualistic practices. However, these accounts are far from consistent, and much of the history remains shrouded in myth. One of the most intriguing legends speaks of a king who used magic to transport the heavy stones to Nan Madol, leading to speculation that the site could have had supernatural significance. Were these myths based on actual events, or were they crafted to explain the seemingly impossible feats of construction? Adding to the mystery is the fact that the city was abandoned long before Western explorers ever set foot on the island. By the time the first Europeans arrived in the early 19th century, the city had already fallen into disrepair. The reasons for its abandonment are unclear. Some scholars suggest that the decline of the Sogdians dynasty, due to internal conflict or external invasion, might have led to the desertion of the city. Others have hypothesized that the environmental conditions of the region, rising sea levels, landslides, or natural disasters, might have forced the inhabitants to leave. Climate change, in particular, is becoming an increasingly prominent factor in theories of societal collapse around the world. Was Nan Madol abandoned because its construction on the fragile landscape of artificial islands became untenable? Theories surrounding Nan Madol's mysterious disappearance also include the notion that the city was not just abandoned due to natural causes or political upheaval, but that it was deliberately abandoned for other, more enigmatic reasons. Could there have been a cultural or religious reason for the sudden disappearance of the Sogdians dynasty? Was there a spiritual event, such as a ritualistic failure or loss of favor with the gods, that led the people to leave the city behind? These questions raise the possibility that the fall of Nan Madol was not just a historical event, but part of a larger, more cosmological understanding of life and death. Despite the efforts of archaeologists and historians, Nan Madol's true purpose remains elusive. The site's layout and the design of its structures suggest that it was built for something far more significant than merely a city or a political capital. The temple-like structures, the isolation of the city, and the extensive use of ritualistic spaces point to a site with a deep spiritual or religious significance. But to what end? Was Nan Madol a place for sacred rites, performed by a priestly class, or was it an important political and ceremonial center for the Sogdians dynasty's rule? One of the most intriguing aspects of Nan Madol is its isolation. Unlike most ancient cities, which were built on land that was naturally habitable, Nan Madol was constructed on a network of man-made islands. The fact that this monumental city exists entirely in the water suggests that it had a particular connection to the sea, possibly symbolizing the Maya and Polynesian ideas of the afterlife or the underworld. Could the canals and waterways that run through the city have been symbolic of a ritual journey, a physical manifestation of the journey of the soul in the afterlife? Or perhaps they were practical, used for trade routes, transportation, or communication between the islands. The true significance of Nan Madol may never be fully understood. There are those who believe that the city was built by an advanced civilization, lost to time, or perhaps that it was influenced by alien forces, a theory that has gained traction among fringe researchers due to the city's seemingly advanced construction methods and its remote location. While these theories remain speculative, the reality is that Nan Madol remains an extraordinary site, filled with mystery. The city is not only a marvel of ancient engineering, but also a mirror into the unknown, a symbol of the ingenuity and mystery that still surrounds the ancient cultures of the Pacific. As researchers continue to study the remains of the city, it is clear that Nan Madol's true story is far from finished. The mystery of how it was built, why it was abandoned, and the role it played in the spiritual life of its inhabitants is one that may continue to haunt us for generations to come. What truths are still buried beneath the waters of Nan Madol? And more importantly, are there lessons we can learn from the city that might help us understand not only its past, but our own future? In the heart of the Yucatan Peninsula, hidden amidst the thick green canopy of the jungle, lies the ancient city of Uxmal, one of the most awe-inspiring ruins of the Maya civilization. Unlike other Mayan cities, Uxmal seems to rise organically from the very earth itself. Its buildings are not only massive but intricately designed, almost as if they were grown from the land, their forms in perfect harmony with the landscape. Today, the city stands as a silent witness to the brilliance and mystery of a lost world, offering up secrets that continue to baffle scholars and archaeologists alike. The name Uxmal translates roughly to thrice built, suggesting a city constructed and rebuilt over generations. The ruins are sprawling, yet they exhibit a remarkable coherence, an artistic and architectural unity that points to a society with an understanding of both engineering and aesthetics far beyond what might have been expected from civilizations of the time. The central plaza of Uxmal is dominated by towering structures that seem to defy both time and nature. The Pyramid of the Magician is the centerpiece of the city, a curved, stepped pyramid soaring nearly 100 feet into the sky. Its design is unusual compared to other Mayan pyramids, with its elliptical shape and steep, sloping sides giving it an almost mystical quality. There is something almost ethereal about Uxmal. The city's architecture reflects an almost cosmic understanding, with buildings aligned in ways that seem intentional but not easily explainable. The nunnery quadrangle, for instance, is an intricate set of structures with a seemingly deliberate design, full of ornate stone carvings and large masks of the rain god Chachapoya. The entire complex suggests a place built not just for function, but for ritual, a sacred space where the spiritual and the physical were meant to intertwine. However, the question remains, what was Uxmal really meant to be? While it's widely accepted that Uxmal was a powerful city-state at the height of the Maya civilization, circa 600 to 1000 AD, its purpose is not fully understood. Scholars generally agree that it served as a center for political and ceremonial activity, but the extent of its role in the broader Maya world remains murky. What was it about Uxmal that led it to become one of the most prominent cities in the northern Maya lowlands? Much of Uxmal's mystery lies in the extraordinary engineering feats that the city's builders achieved. Take the Pyramid of the Magician, for example. Its construction does not follow the typical Maya building patterns of that era. According to local legend, the pyramid was built by a dwarf magician who, through magical means, completed the pyramid in a single night. The legend may be fantastical, but the pyramid itself is a testament to a civilization with a profound understanding of geometry and astronomy. The layout of Uxmal's central complex seems to align with celestial events, particularly the equinoxes and solstices, suggesting that Uxmal may have been a city built not just for human habitation, but as a celestial observatory, a symbolic representation of the cosmos itself. What makes the story of Uxmal even more enigmatic is the apparent abruptness of its decline. By the time the Spanish arrived in the early 16th century, Uxmal had already fallen into disrepair, and the city's once great political power had vanished. Why, after centuries of prosperity, would a city with such extraordinary achievements simply fade from memory? It's a pattern that appears across the Maya world, cities that flourished, only to disappear without a trace, leaving behind only their ruins. Some researchers point to the regional political landscape and the rise of rival cities like Chichen Itza as potential causes for Uxmal's decline. As the power dynamics of the region shifted, Uxmal's influence might have waned, leading to its abandonment. Yet, this theory doesn't explain why the city's monumental structures, built with such care and precision, were left to fall into ruin. It raises the question, was Uxmal's abandonment an external force, or could it have been the result of something more internal, a shift in religious beliefs or an environmental disaster that made the city untenable? One hypothesis that has gained some traction among archaeologists is the idea that climatic factors played a key role in the city's fall. Like many other ancient civilizations, the Maya were highly dependent on the environment, particularly the availability of water. Uxmal, like other Maya cities, relied on a sophisticated water management system with reservoirs and channels designed to collect rainwater. Could a prolonged drought have devastated the city, causing its residents to abandon their homes and seek refuge elsewhere? While there is evidence that the region did experience climate shifts during this period, the evidence remains inconclusive. Then there are the more speculative theories that suggest Uxmal's decline was connected to the changing religious beliefs of its rulers. Some researchers have proposed that the rise of new cults or new deities, possibly associated with the more expansive and militaristic cities like Chichen Itza, could have contributed to Uxmal's fall from grace. The city, with its deeply spiritual and ritualistic roots, might have been caught in a transition between old ways of worship and new, more warrior-focused ideologies. The sudden disappearance of such a profound and religiously charged civilization might have been part of a larger cultural shift, one that remains difficult to comprehend. And then, there are those who entertain the possibility that Uxmal's decline was not due to an earthly cause at all. Could the city have been abandoned due to supernatural forces? Mayan mythology is rich with stories of gods and spirits who shaped the world, bringing destruction or salvation. Some believe that Uxmal's architects, who designed the city with such apparent reverence for the cosmic forces, may have believed the site to be sacred ground, and that their decision to abandon it was a spiritual act, a retreat from a place no longer in harmony with the gods. There is also the mystical connection that Uxmal shares with other lost cities in the Maya region. The recurrence of architectural styles, shared symbolic elements, and even similar themes of divine rulership across cities like Palenque and Tikal raises an intriguing question. Was there a common spiritual doctrine, or even a unified political order in the Maya world, one that spanned vast distances and unified these city-states in ways we have yet to fully comprehend? Could Uxmal have been part of a greater cultural, political, and spiritual network that we are only beginning to uncover? If so, what drove these cities, such a tightly knit network, into sudden disintegration and decline? As we examine Uxmal, there is something almost otherworldly about the place. The stonework, the alignment with celestial events, the precision of the construction. It all suggests a culture with a deep and profound knowledge of the universe. But the question remains, why were such extraordinary achievements abandoned so suddenly? What secrets did the rulers of Uxmal take with them to the grave? And what can we learn from the mysteries that still linger in the ruins? Perhaps, as with so many lost cities, the true story of Uxmal will never be fully understood. The stones may continue to speak in whispers, revealing fragments of a forgotten world, but the larger puzzle of why this once glorious city was abandoned remains unsolved. Could it have been simply the passage of time, or does something deeper, more profound, lie beneath the surface of this enigmatic city? The tale of Sodom and Gomorrah is one of the most well-known and enduring legends from the Bible, known for its vivid imagery of divine retribution and moral decay. For centuries, these cities have been the subject of religious teachings, moral allegories, and speculative historical inquiry. Described in the book of Genesis, the cities were said to be destroyed by fire and brimstone, their inhabitants punished for their wickedness and sins. Yet, despite their prominence in religious texts, The location of Sodom and Gomorrah has remained elusive, and the question of whether these cities ever existed at all remains shrouded in mystery. Today, the story of Sodom and Gomorrah is more than a religious parable. It is an enduring historical enigma, one that blurs the line between myth and reality, between faith and science. Were these cities real places, or are they simply the creations of ancient storytellers? And if they did exist, what caused their sudden destruction? Was it a natural disaster, or could the cities have fallen victim to something far more mysterious, something we have yet to understand fully? The biblical narrative paints a vivid picture of Sodom and Gomorrah's ruin. The cities were said to be situated in a lush, fertile valley, a place of plenty. Yet beneath the apparent prosperity lay a profound moral corruption, marked by wickedness, violence, and the disregard for the divine. According to the story, when God decided to punish the cities for their depravity, He sent 2 angels to warn the righteous man Lot and his family to flee before the impending destruction. The cities were then consumed by fire and brimstone, wiped from the face of the earth in an act of divine vengeance. The aftermath was complete devastation. Sodom and Gomorrah, once thriving cities, became nothing more than burned ruins, leaving behind only ashes and a few cryptic accounts from those who might have witnessed the destruction. Yet, despite its powerful impact on religious and cultural traditions, the historical evidence for Sodom and Gomorrah's existence remains scant. Archaeologists have spent centuries searching for the ruins of these cities, but definitive proof of their location continues to elude discovery. Scholars have proposed various theories, placing the cities in different regions across the Middle East, but the lack of direct evidence leaves many questions unanswered. Could the cities be real, or are they the product of mythic storytelling, crafted to impart lessons of morality and divine judgment? If they were real, what happened to them? How did they disappear? And why has no trace of their existence been found? At least, not conclusively. One of the most prominent theories places the ancient cities near the Dead Sea, which lies along the border between modern-day Israel and Jordan. This area has long been associated with the biblical tale due to its geographical features and historical context. The Valley of the Dead Sea is known for its extreme salinity, its barren landscape, and the presence of natural phenomena such as sulfur deposits, all of which could be interpreted as signs of divine wrath. The cities of Sodom and Gomorrah were described in the Bible as being situated in a lush valley, which in the ancient world would have made them highly desirable locations for settlement. Over time, the valley transformed into a region of high mineral content and geothermal activity, leading some to speculate that volcanic eruptions or earthquakes could have played a role in the city's destruction. Could the natural forces of the region, earthquakes, firestorms, or even a meteor impact, have led to the biblical judgment? Could these elements explain the fire and brimstone described in the scriptures? While such theories are intriguing, they remain speculative. Archaeological efforts to locate the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah have yielded some fascinating finds, yet none have provided definitive proof of their existence. In the 20th century, excavations near the Dead Sea, particularly at Tal el-Hammam, have uncovered evidence of destruction layers in the ancient city, suggesting that it might have experienced some catastrophic event, possibly around the time traditionally associated with the biblical destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. This site, located in Jordan, has been proposed by some researchers as the possible location of the lost cities. Archaeological digs have revealed the remains of an ancient settlement that was seemingly destroyed by fire, with charred buildings and evidence of intense heat. These findings raise the possibility that a natural disaster, such as a meteor strike, an earthquake, or a massive firestorm, could explain the sudden destruction of a city. Still, many of these findings are subject to interpretation, and the mystery of Sodom and Gomorrah remains far from solved. Could it be that we are searching for these cities in the wrong places? Ancient cities often lie beneath the surface of the earth, buried by the passing of time, changing landscapes, and the forces of nature. Perhaps the cities were so thoroughly destroyed that no trace remains. No walls, no buildings, no pottery to give us a clue as to their location. Or perhaps the destruction was so sudden and complete that nothing was left to mark their passage. Then there are those who propose more speculative theories, extending beyond the realms of natural disasters and into the world of the supernatural. Could the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah have been a divine act so powerful that it left no trace, as the Bible suggests? Could it have been a punishment so absolute that it wiped out the cities from memory, erasing any physical evidence, leaving behind only the tales of their wickedness and downfall? Alternatively, some have suggested that the cities were destroyed by a force that we still do not fully understand. A mysterious ancient weapon or a cosmic event that could explain the intense heat and devastation. This brings us back to the biblical language of fire and brimstone, a phrase that has captivated imaginations for centuries. Was this merely a metaphor, or could there be a deeper, more literal explanation for the events described? In the context of the ancient world, cities like Sodom and Gomorrah were part of a greater narrative of moral decline, societal collapse, and divine intervention. The story of their destruction serves as a warning against hubris, corruption, and the abandonment of divine law. But does the tale point to something more than just a moral lesson? Could it be a reflection of the chaos and devastation that often accompanies the collapse of civilizations? Ancient cities were often at the mercy of natural forces, and many of them disappeared without leaving behind much in the way of physical evidence. Sodom and Gomorrah could simply be part of this larger pattern of loss and destruction. Another possibility is that the cities were indeed real, but they vanished long before the biblical account was written. Could they have been swallowed by the earth, buried beneath the sands of time, or covered by rising sea levels? There are areas of the Middle East, particularly around the Dead Sea, that have experienced dramatic shifts in the landscape over the millennia. Could it be that Sodom and Gomorrah were once thriving cities, only to be buried in an ancient catastrophe, one that left no trace of their existence, but became a story of myth and legend? The mystery of Sodom and Gomorrah remains as complex and fascinating today as it did thousands of years ago. Archaeologists, historians, and theologians continue to debate the truth behind the biblical account and the search for the lost cities. Was it a natural disaster, a supernatural event, or simply the disappearance of ancient civilizations at the hands of forces beyond our understanding? The story of Sodom and Gomorrah is a powerful reminder of how the past is often lost to time, buried beneath the weight of history, forgotten by all except those who choose to search for it. And perhaps that is the most intriguing aspect of the tale, that the cities, the great Sodom and Gomorrah, remain elusive, waiting for the day when their secrets might finally be uncovered. What truths might still lie hidden beneath the surface of the Dead Sea, waiting to be discovered by those brave enough to seek them? In the northernmost corners of the world lies a place known only in the most ancient and mysterious of texts, the city of Thule. Often described as a land beyond the edge of the known world, Thule has been a subject of fascination for historians, explorers, and mythologists for centuries. The concept of Thule, a place bathed in darkness and surrounded by icy seas, has captured imaginations. But its location and true nature remain one of the most elusive mysteries of the ancient world. The earliest mention of Thule comes from the Greek explorer Pytheas of Massalia, who, around the 4th century BCE, ventured beyond the known realms of the Mediterranean. Pytheas's accounts tell of a land far to the north, where the sun never set, and where the climate was so harsh that the people there lived in perpetual cold. He called it Thule, a place that might have been the northernmost tip of Europe, perhaps located in the far reaches of Iceland, Greenland, or even parts of the Arctic Circle. But Pythias's accounts were not entirely clear, leaving a wide margin for interpretation and speculation. Was Thule a land of ice and stone, a realm inhabited by strange people in the darkest reaches of the earth? Or was it something more symbolic, a mythical construct that reflected the limits of ancient knowledge? The description of Thule has always been at odds with historical documentation. While ancient Greek explorers were familiar with regions like the Mediterranean and the Near East, they were unaware of the vast northern lands that today make up Scandinavia and parts of the Arctic. It is said that Pythias's story was met with skepticism by his contemporaries, and later, his writings on Thule disappeared from historical record. Yet, in the centuries following his journey, Thule took on a life of its own, becoming entwined with legends and theories that continue to inspire both fascination and controversy. For centuries, the term Thule was used as a catch-all for any far northern land, often infused with mystical or esoteric meanings. Roman writers like Pliny the Elder and Strabo referenced Thule, but they too struggled to pinpoint its true location, offering vague descriptions of a place beyond the farthest horizon. Over time, the name became synonymous with any place on the edges of the world, particularly areas that were deemed uncivilized or untouched by civilization. The rise of Germanic and Norse sagas added another layer of complexity to the legend of Thule. In the Norse tradition, Thule began to take on a more mystical character, associated with the gods and legends of the north. Some Norse texts even suggested that Thule was not just a land, but a realm beyond time and space, an otherworldly domain where mystical and spiritual forces reigned supreme. This connection between Thule and the supernatural only deepened the mystery of its existence. As the centuries passed and the world became more connected, explorers began to venture farther north, pushing the boundaries of what had once been considered the edge of the known world. The search for Thule intensified, fueled by both curiosity and the belief that this land might hold the key to unlocking ancient knowledge, or perhaps something even more enigmatic, a lost civilization with secrets that had been forgotten by time. But despite numerous expeditions and advancements in geography, the true nature of Thule remained stubbornly out of reach. The search for Thule, however, was not only confined to ancient texts or the Norse sagas. In the 19th and 20th centuries, the term began to take on new meanings, especially as the concept of the Arctic became more explored. Many early explorers, including Fridtjof Nansen, believed that Thule might refer to areas in the polar regions, especially places like Greenland or the high Arctic regions of Canada. This is where the mystery begins to blur the line between myth and reality. Could Thule have been a real place? And if so, where was it? Could it be that Pythias had glimpsed something that was misunderstood in his time, but which would later be validated by modern explorers? One of the most famous connections between Thule and real-world locations comes from German cartography in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. In particular, the term Thule became synonymous with Iceland and Greenland in certain esoteric and occult traditions. Thule was believed by some to be the seat of an ancient Aryan civilization, a lost land of great wisdom and technology that predated the known civilizations of Europe and the Mediterranean. This idea, most famously promoted by the Thule Society in Germany, tied the myth of Thule to racial and cultural superiority. According to these theories, the myth of Thule was no longer just a geographic quest, but also a symbolic search for the origins of humanity's greatest potential, a search that would lead to darker interpretations in the 20th century, as the Thule Society became linked with the rise of Nazism. The Thule Society wasn't alone in its fascination with the mystical aspects of the city. In the early 20th century, esoteric thinkers and occultists like Helena Blavatsky and Rudolf Steiner spoke of a spiritual homeland far to the north, a city or civilization lost in the farthest reaches of the Arctic, which was said to have housed great sages and beings of extraordinary power. Was there a deeper spiritual dimension to Thule, a place of ancient power that existed not in the physical realm but in an altered state of consciousness? These thinkers suggested that the Arctic regions, often seen as desolate and barren, held hidden energies that connected the material world to a deeper metaphysical reality. Despite the pull of mystical theories, modern-day scholars continue to take a more pragmatic approach. They argue that Thule was likely the name given to a series of northern settlements that existed in the Arctic or subarctic regions, and that Pytheas was simply reporting on the far north peoples who lived in Greenland, Iceland, or parts of Scandinavia. There is evidence to support this hypothesis. The Norwegian explorer Fridtjof Nansen, in his quest to explore the polar regions, noted in the late 19th century that he had uncovered information about the North that seemed to mirror ancient reports of Thule. The story of Thule, then, might be less a fantastical legend and more a record of humanity's quest to explore and understand the boundaries of its world. Yet, even as Thule's existence is increasingly understood through a historical lens, the mystery of its significance persists. Did the ancients truly believe that Thule held some kind of hidden knowledge or power? Why was it described as a place on the very edge of the earth, where the sun never set and the very fabric of time and space seemed to warp? What drove ancient explorers and later mystics to search for a place so far beyond the limits of the known world? As we continue to search for answers, the story of Thule remains one of the most fascinating and ambiguous chapters in the history of human exploration. Was it a physical land, a mystical realm, or perhaps a symbolic idea representing the outermost boundaries of the human experience? The answer may be elusive, but the allure of Thule endures, drawing us to ask whether this lost land is truly lost or whether it continues to hold its secrets just out of reach, waiting for the right explorers to uncover them. Deep within the annals of Mesoamerican history lies the legend of Aztlan, a place so shrouded in mystery that its very existence is questioned by scholars and historians to this day. Known primarily as the mythical homeland of the Aztecs, Aztlan has captivated the imagination of historians, archaeologists, and explorers for centuries. The very name evokes a sense of ancient mysticism, a place steeped in the origins of one of the most powerful and advanced civilizations in pre-Columbian America. According to the Aztec creation myths, Aztlan was the starting point of their great journey, a sacred land located somewhere to the north of their eventual settlement at Tenochtitlan, modern-day Mexico City. The Aztecs, or Mexica, believed that their gods commanded them to leave this homeland and embark on a long and arduous migration to find a new place, a land of prophecy. Their journey, as recounted in codices and oral tradition, was marked by trials, and their eventual arrival at the lake where Tenochtitlan was founded symbolized the fulfillment of their divine mandate. However, the location of Aztlan itself, as well as its very nature, remains one of the great unsolved mysteries of Mesoamerican history. Aztlan is often described in ancient Aztec sources as a lush, verdant land, surrounded by water and bordered by mountains, yet the exact details of its geography have remained elusive. The name Aztlan is thought to derive from the Nahuatl word atl, meaning water, and tlan, meaning place or land. Thus, Aztlan translates to land of the herons, or place of the waters, suggesting a watery, almost ethereal landscape. In many depictions, Aztlan is described as an island, surrounded by a shimmering sea, where the first ancestors of the Aztecs lived in harmony before their great migration began. Yet, the notion of Aztlan as a real physical place is far from settled. Some historians believe it was an actual geographic location, while others argue that it was a symbolic, mythical space. There are numerous theories about where Aztlan might have been located, each with its own set of evidence and interpretations. The search for Aztlan. For centuries, explorers and archaeologists have attempted to pinpoint the location of Aztlan. The most widely accepted theories suggest that it was located somewhere in the northern regions of Mexico, or possibly even farther into southern United States. Aztlan is often associated with the southwestern United States, including parts of Arizona, New Mexico, and Nevada, regions known for their connection to ancient Native American cultures. One theory posits that Aztlan was located near the Colorado River, while others suggest that it might be in the deserts of the Great Basin or even in the mountains of California. The quest to find Aztlan has only grown in recent years, as both historical documents and new technologies like satellite imagery have opened up fresh avenues for exploration. Despite the ongoing search, however, no definitive evidence has yet emerged to confirm the exact location of the homeland of the Aztecs. One of the most intriguing and persistent theories links Aztlan to the region around Lake Mead in Nevada, an area that features extensive water sources and a landscape that could have resembled the descriptions of Aztlan as a place surrounded by water. While no physical evidence has been found, the theory remains popular among some archaeologists and scholars. Another possibility suggests that Aztlan was a place located in the northwestern part of Mexico, near the Sierra Madre Occidental mountain range. The ancient migrations of the Aztec ancestors from Aztlan are said to have passed through rugged, mountainous terrain, and many theorists point to these landscapes as a possible match for the mythical homeland. However, even as the search for Aztlan continues, one important question looms large. Was Aztlan a real, physical place? Or was it a creation of myth? A symbolic homeland from which the Aztecs arose, designed to explain the origins of their people. Myth and symbolism. To many scholars, the notion of Aztlan as a mythical place is more compelling than the idea of it being a geographically real location. The Aztecs, after all, were a people steeped in mythology and religion, and their cultural narratives often blended reality with symbolic meaning. In this light, Aztlan could have been conceived as a spiritual or symbolic paradise, a land of origins from which their people sprang, much like the Garden of Eden in Judeo-Christian tradition. The Aztec myth of Aztlan serves as an origin story, a creation myth that links the past to the future and that provides meaning and structure to their migration and eventual rise to power. Aztlan is, in this sense, not only a physical location but also a metaphor for beginnings. Its role in the Aztec narrative is tied to identity, connecting the people of Tenochtitlan to their past and giving them a sense of divine purpose. The journey from Aztlan was described in Aztec mythology as a test of their endurance and faith, and it was believed that their migration to Tenochtitlan fulfilled a prophecy foretold by their gods. The fact that the Aztecs still held the concept of Aztlan close to their hearts even in the height of their power suggests that it was more than a memory of an ancient homeland. It was an idea, a spiritual anchor for their culture. But the symbolism of Aztlan extends beyond religious or cultural significance. In many scholarly debates, Aztlan is interpreted as a projection of Aztec nationalism, a concept of an idealized past from which their people originated. It represents a unity and a shared identity that transcends the passage of time. And so, even if Aztlan was not a tangible place, it was something that lived in the hearts and minds of the Aztecs, a concept that fueled their migration, shaped their identity, and formed the basis of their imperial ambitions. Fringe theories and speculations. In recent decades, some have posited more speculative theories about Aztlan's true nature. These ideas delve into realms of mysticism, spirituality, and even extraterrestrial influences. The idea that Aztlan was a land of advanced technological or cultural knowledge has led some to suggest that the city may have been a lost civilization with knowledge far beyond what was known at the time. These fringe theories sometimes associate Aztlan with Atlantean myths, or even point to possible alien influences in the development of the Aztec civilization. For example, some have suggested that the Aztecs' journey to Tenochtitlan was more than just a migration. It was an effort to rediscover ancient, hidden knowledge from a civilization that had long since disappeared. These theories, often based on highly speculative interpretations of ancient texts, suggest that the Aztecs might have been part of a greater global network of ancient peoples who were connected through a shared understanding of the cosmos and advanced technology. Aztlan's legacy. While the physical location of Aztlan may never be definitively determined, its legacy endures. The myth of Aztlan continues to influence Aztec culture and identity, and the concept of this lost city serves as a powerful symbol of origin and migration in the face of uncertainty. The search for Aztlan is more than a geographical quest. It is an exploration of what it means to belong, to search for one's roots, and to understand the origins of a culture that has shaped the history of the Americas. The legend of Aztlan, then, may never be fully unraveled. Whether it lies buried beneath the sands of time or exists solely as a metaphor, it will continue to inspire new generations of explorers, historians, and dreamers to seek answers, and perhaps to ask even more profound questions about the nature of human existence and the meaning of home. In the vast arid expanse of the Taklamakan Desert, where the sun beats relentlessly and the wind whispers secrets of the past, lies the forgotten oasis city of Khotan. A place once known for its lush landscapes, verdant gardens, and strategic location along ancient trade routes, Khotan was a vibrant hub of commerce, culture, and religion. Yet today, it is a city of mystery, its once bustling streets and towering structures reduced to little more than shadows in the sand. Khotan's origins stretch back over 2 millennia, making it one of the oldest and most significant cities of the ancient Silk Road. Situated in what is now the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region of China, Khotan was perfectly positioned along the ancient trade routes that connected the east to the west, linking China, India, Persia, and the Mediterranean. It was a center for trade in precious goods such as jade, silk, and cotton, but it was also renowned for its artistic and intellectual achievements. The city was home to a unique blend of cultures, with influences from Buddhism, Zoroastrianism, and later Islam, all of which left their mark on Khotan's architecture, literature, and art. The city's prominence reached its peak during the first millennium CE, when Khotan became a key player in the flourishing Silk Road trade network. Caravans laden with spices, textiles, and other valuable commodities would stop in Khotan, refueling and replenishing before continuing their long journeys across Asia. The city was also famous for its production of fine silk and its role as a center of Buddhist learning, with monasteries and scholars attracting pilgrims from across Central Asia. However, despite its prominence, the story of Khotan's rise and eventual decline remains shrouded in mystery. By the 11th century, the city's fortunes began to change. The reasons for its decline are unclear, but a combination of shifting trade routes, invasions, and environmental factors may have played a role in its fall. Today, what remains of Khotan is an archaeological enigma. Its ruins are scattered across the desert, yet the full extent of the city's former glory is hidden beneath centuries of sand and time. As with many lost cities, the exact cause of Khotan's disappearance is a matter of speculation. Some historians believe that the city's decline was due to the changing course of the Silk Road trade routes. Once bustling with caravans, Khotan gradually fell out of favor as new routes were established through other cities, such as Kashgar and Urumqi. This shift may have been exacerbated by the Mongol invasions of the 13th century, which disrupted the entire region. Others suggest that the decline was related to environmental factors, such as desertification or the depletion of water resources in the oasis, which would have made it increasingly difficult for the city to sustain its population. Another possibility is that Khotan's fall was tied to internal political turmoil or external invasions. The region was a crossroads of various empires, including the Chinese, Persian, and Indian civilizations, each vying for control over the lucrative Silk Road trade routes. In the 10th century, the city was overtaken by the Karakhanid dynasty, which brought Islam to the region. However, this shift in religious and cultural dominance may have led to tensions within the city and its surrounding areas, further contributing to Khotan's eventual abandonment. Despite the city's fall, Khotan's legacy lives on in the rich cultural artifacts that have been uncovered by modern archaeologists. Among the most fascinating of these discoveries are the numerous ancient manuscripts and texts that have been unearthed from the ruins. These texts, written in a variety of languages including Sanskrit, Tibetan, and Sogdian, offer a window into the intellectual and religious life of Khotan during its golden age. They reveal a society that was deeply engaged with philosophy, science, and the arts, and that was influenced by a variety of religious traditions. In addition to these manuscripts, archaeologists have uncovered a wealth of material culture, including sculptures, paintings, and textiles. These artifacts reflect the fusion of different cultural traditions that existed in Khotan, including Indian, Persian, and Central Asian influences. The city's Buddhist monasteries, for example, produced a unique style of art that blended Indian Buddhist iconography with local artistic traditions, resulting in a distinctive and highly influential artistic legacy. Yet, even as modern archaeologists piece together the history of Khotan through these artifacts, much of the city's past remains elusive. There are many unanswered questions about the city's rise and fall, and some scholars argue that we may never fully understand the factors that led to its disappearance. Was Khotan simply the victim of shifting trade patterns and geopolitical changes, or was there something more mysterious at play? One of the most compelling aspects of Khotan's story is its location in the heart of the Taklamakan Desert, a region notorious for its harsh climate and difficult terrain. The name Taklamakan itself is derived from the Uyghur language and roughly translates to the place of no return, a fitting description for a desert that has claimed countless travelers throughout history. Khotan, once an oasis in this unforgiving landscape, was able to thrive only because of its access to vital water sources. Yet, as the desert slowly encroached upon the oasis, it became increasingly difficult for the city to maintain its position as a commercial and cultural center. It is tempting to speculate about the role of the desert itself in Khotan's fate. Could the relentless forces of nature have played a greater role in the city's decline than previously thought? Did the desert gradually consume Khotan, burying its once great buildings beneath layers of sand? Some modern explorers and archaeologists have suggested that the city's ruins might still lie hidden beneath the desert, waiting to be uncovered by future generations. Others have speculated about the possibility that Khotan's decline may have been accelerated by more mysterious forces. The city was known to be a center of Buddhist learning, and some have raised the question of whether the teachings of Buddhism may have played a role in the city's downfall. Could the rise of Islam in the region have caused tensions between religious factions, leading to the city's eventual abandonment? Or perhaps Khotan's isolation and the secrecy surrounding its demise have given rise to more fantastical theories. Some have even suggested that the city's downfall was the result of a long-lost knowledge or ancient technology, the remnants of which might still be buried in the desert. Despite the many theories and speculative explanations, Khotan remains an enigmatic chapter in the history of the Silk Road. The city's legacy, preserved in the art and artifacts left behind, continues to captivate those who seek to uncover its secrets. Yet, as with so many lost cities, the true story of Khotan may never be fully revealed. Perhaps it is not just the city itself, but the very nature of its disappearance that remains the most enduring mystery. Was Khotan simply a casualty of time and changing trade routes, or is there something more to the story, an unexplained force that still holds the answers to this ancient enigma? The sands of the Taklamakan Desert may have long since swallowed Khotan, but the echoes of its past still resonate, calling out to those who are willing to listen. What might be hidden beneath the shifting dunes, waiting to be uncovered by future explorers? The mystery of Khotan remains unresolved, and in that uncertainty, there is an invitation to search, to question, and to wonder what truths still lie beneath the surface. High in the barren wilderness of the Judean desert, along the shores of the Dead Sea, lies one of the most intriguing archaeological sites of the ancient world, Qumran. Its location is both serene and unsettling, an austere landscape of rocky cliffs and salt-encrusted earth, where the silence is only broken by the occasional gust of wind. But beneath this quiet exterior, Qumran holds secrets that have perplexed historians, archaeologists, and theologians alike for decades. The site, which became world-renowned in the 20th century, is best known for its connection to the Dead Sea Scrolls, one of the most significant archaeological discoveries in modern history. In 1947, a young Bedouin shepherd stumbled upon a set of ancient scrolls hidden in a cave near the site, sparking a series of excavations that would eventually uncover a vast treasure trove of manuscripts dating back to the Second Temple period, around the 1st century BCE to 1st century CE. The scrolls contained biblical texts, apocryphal writings, and sectarian documents, shedding light on the religious practices and beliefs of a group of people who lived in this remote region more than 2,000 years ago. Qumran is often linked with the Essenes, a Jewish sect that is thought to have inhabited the area. The Essenes were a mystic, ascetic group, known for their strict religious observance and rejection of the mainstream Jewish society of their time. They are believed to have lived in isolation, away from the hustle and bustle of Jerusalem, focusing on spiritual purity, communal living, and the study of religious texts. Qumran, with its caves, cisterns, and elaborate water systems, seems to have been designed to support this lifestyle. The presence of the Dead Sea Scrolls and other artifacts, such as pottery, tools, and bones, suggests that the inhabitants of Qumran maintained a complex and sophisticated way of life, despite their isolation from the wider world. However, while the discovery of the scrolls and the association with the Essenes have been widely accepted, there are still many questions surrounding Qumran's true history. Theories abound about who exactly inhabited this desolate location and why they chose to live in such a harsh, remote place. The most common explanation points to the Essenes, but there are those who argue that the site could have been used by other groups, or even that it was a more general monastic community dedicated to religious purification. One of the most striking features of Qumran is its sheer isolation. The settlement is situated in a desolate region, far from the fertile lands of the Jordan River Valley, surrounded by inhospitable desert. Why would a group of people choose to live in such a barren, inaccessible area? And why did they leave behind such an extensive array of texts and artifacts, only for the site to eventually be abandoned and largely forgotten for centuries? The unanswered questions only add to the mystery of Qumran, compelling scholars to dig deeper into the site's enigmatic past. The layout of the settlement itself raises additional questions. The ruins of Qumran consist of several large buildings, including a central courtyard, living quarters, and a large communal area believed to be used for ritual purposes. The presence of elaborate water channels and cisterns suggests that the inhabitants had a keen understanding of hydrology and were able to harness the limited water supply in the region to sustain their community. This intricate system of water storage and management in such a harsh environment points to a level of organization and planning that is uncommon for settlements of its time. Yet, the most captivating aspect of Qumran is its connection to the Dead Sea Scrolls, which continue to stir debate about their origin and significance. The scrolls themselves include a variety of texts, from portions of the Hebrew Bible to apocryphal writings and community rules that outline the strict, ascetic life led by the group believed to have inhabited Qumran. Many of these writings reveal a religious community on the fringes of mainstream Judaism, with distinct beliefs and practices that set them apart from other Jewish sects of the time. What makes the Dead Sea Scrolls even more intriguing is the possibility that they may offer a glimpse into the environment in which early Christianity took root. Some scholars suggest that the Essenes, or those who lived in Qumran, may have had a direct influence on the development of Christian theology. Certain texts, such as the War Scroll and the Community Rule, show a preoccupation with the idea of a messianic figure and the coming of a new kingdom, themes that are central to Christian thought. This has led some to wonder whether the teachings of the Essenes or the people of Qumran could have influenced early Christian beliefs, or if there was a shared theological foundation between the two. Despite the abundance of manuscripts found in Qumran, many questions about the content of these texts remain unanswered. Some of the scrolls are still partially unreadable due to their fragile state, while others are written in languages or scripts that remain difficult to fully interpret. Moreover, there are numerous texts that have not yet been fully analyzed, and some may hold secrets that are still waiting to be uncovered. It's as though the texts themselves hold a hidden key to the deeper mysteries of Qumran, waiting for the right minds to decode their meanings. However, even as scholars have made great strides in understanding the significance of the Dead Sea Scrolls, there remains a lingering uncertainty about how and why they were hidden in the caves of Qumran. Some theorists speculate that the scrolls were hidden away by the inhabitants in the face of Roman persecution, possibly during the First Jewish-Roman War in the 1st century CE. Others suggest that the scrolls were purposefully buried by a secretive religious sect, perhaps as part of a plan to preserve their beliefs for future generations. Still, others propose that the scrolls were hidden for reasons unknown, waiting to be discovered by future generations of explorers. The abandonment of Qumran itself raises yet another question. What led to the sudden desertion of this once thriving settlement? Archaeological evidence suggests that the site was abandoned sometime after the Roman conquest of Judea in 70 CE. Some believe that the Roman destruction of nearby Jerusalem and the threat of Roman soldiers caused the inhabitants to flee, abandoning their sacred texts and leaving behind a city that had once been home to a tight-knit community of religious ascetics. Others suggest that the desertion could have been caused by internal factors, such as infighting, drought, or other environmental pressures that made the settlement untenable. As the years have passed, the site of Qumran has drawn not only archaeologists and historians, but also those searching for spiritual or mystical answers. Some visitors come to the area with the belief that Qumran holds more than just physical relics. It is, to them, a sacred place where the veil between the past and the present is thinnest. Perhaps in this austere desert, there are still mysteries waiting to be uncovered, secrets of ancient knowledge that have yet to be revealed. The story of Qumran is far from complete. Even with the wealth of knowledge already uncovered, the site continues to hold its cards close to its chest. There are many unanswered questions, both in terms of the people who lived there and the significance of the artifacts they left behind. The connection between Qumran, the Dead Sea Scrolls, and early Christianity remains a topic of intense study and debate. Was Qumran simply a small, isolated community living in the wilderness, or was it part of something much larger, a movement that left its mark on the history of religion and culture? And as new discoveries continue to be made, the possibility remains that the true story of Qumran, much like the scrolls themselves, is still waiting to be fully unraveled. Amid the misty mountains of Lebanon, nestled in the fertile Bekaa Valley, lies the ancient city of Baalbek, a place that, even in its ruins, exudes a sense of grandeur and mystery. Known in antiquity as Heliopolis, or City of the Sun, Baalbek is home to some of the most awe-inspiring and enigmatic ruins in the ancient world. The city's monumental structures, particularly its massive stone temples, stand as a testament to the engineering marvels of the Roman Empire. Yet, despite its grandeur and historical significance, the origins of Baalbek, and even the purpose of some of its structures, remain subjects of deep intrigue and speculation. Baalbek's importance dates back to the Phoenician era, long before the Romans arrived. The city's roots are entwined with the worship of Baal, the ancient Semitic god of fertility and storms. Temples dedicated to Baal and his consort, the goddess Astarte, were built on the site, establishing Baalbek as a religious center in the ancient world. Yet it was under Roman rule, beginning in the 1st century BCE, that the city reached its architectural and cultural zenith. The Romans, with their unparalleled skill in engineering and construction, transformed Baalbek into a center of religious and civic life, building monumental temples, public baths, and colonnades. One of the most striking features of Baalbek is its temple complex. The city is home to 3 primary temples: the Temple of Jupiter, the Temple of Bacchus, and the Temple of Venus. Of these, the Temple of Jupiter is the most imposing, and it is here that the true mysteries of Baalbek begin to unfold. The temple's foundations are made up of some of the largest stones ever used in construction, some weighing as much as 800 tons. These stones, known as the trilithon, are so massive that even modern machinery would struggle to move them. The sheer scale of the construction has led to questions about how such enormous blocks could have been transported and lifted into place. The most widely accepted explanation is that the Romans used a combination of human labor, ropes, and levers to move the stones, though there are no surviving records detailing the exact methods used. Still, this explanation raises more questions than it answers. The trilithon stones are not the only massive blocks in Baalbek. There are others, scattered throughout the site, some of which are even larger than the ones in the Temple of Jupiter. These massive stones are so heavy and so precisely cut that it is difficult to fathom how they could have been worked with the tools and technology available at the time. How, for example, did the builders manage to achieve such a high degree of precision in shaping these massive stones, with joints so tight that even a razor blade cannot fit between them? Despite the mysteries surrounding the construction of the site, there is little doubt that Baalbek was an impressive feat of engineering. The Romans, with their advanced understanding of architecture and engineering, were able to build structures that have withstood the test of time. The Temple of Bacchus, for example, is remarkably well preserved and offers a glimpse into the grandeur of Roman temple design. The temple's columns, though smaller than those of the Temple of Jupiter, are still enormous by modern standards, and the intricacy of the carvings on the walls and ceilings showcases the skill of Roman craftsmen. But it is not only the physical structures that intrigue archaeologists and historians. It is also the city's role in the religious and cultural life of the ancient world. Baalbek was a center of Roman religious practice, and the temples built there were dedicated to some of the most important deities in the Roman pantheon. The Temple of Jupiter, for instance, was dedicated to the king of the gods, and it was believed that the god's presence was manifested in the temple's massive statue. The Temple of Bacchus, on the other hand, was dedicated to the god of wine, revelry, and fertility, and it is thought to have played a role in the city's religious festivals and rites. Yet, as with many ancient sites, there are elements of Baalbek's history that resist explanation. One of the most persistent mysteries is the question of why such monumental structures were built in the first place. What drove the ancient builders to create such massive, awe-inspiring temples? Was it simply a reflection of Roman imperial power? a way of showcasing their dominance over the region? Or did the city serve a deeper, more enigmatic purpose, one that remains hidden from view, buried beneath centuries of history? Some scholars have speculated that Baalbek's temples were not just religious sites, but also served as astronomical observatories, aligning with the positions of the sun, moon, and stars. The precision with which the temples were constructed, along with their alignment to certain celestial events, has led to theories that the city was designed to track the movements of the heavens. It is also possible that the temples were intended to facilitate communication with the divine, a means of reaching out to the gods and gaining their favor through ritual and sacrifice. Yet these theories remain speculative, and the true purpose of the city may never be fully understood. Adding another layer of intrigue to Baalbek's story is the fact that it was built on a much older site, one that predates Roman occupation. The foundations of the Temple of Jupiter, for example, are thought to be built atop a series of earlier Phoenician structures. This raises the question: was Baalbek always a place of great significance, a spiritual center that attracted attention from various civilizations over millennia? Were the Romans simply the latest in a long line of conquerors who recognized the strategic and religious importance of the site? In addition to these historical and architectural mysteries, there is also the question of Baalbek's eventual decline. Like many ancient cities, Baalbek was abandoned after the fall of the Roman Empire, and by the early Middle Ages, it had largely faded from the historical record. Today, the site remains in ruins, though it continues to attract visitors from around the world who come to marvel at its grandeur and contemplate its mysteries. The once vibrant city of Baalbek, with its massive temples and sacred spaces, is now little more than a quiet ruin, its secrets lying dormant beneath the dust of centuries. Yet, even as Baalbek has slipped into obscurity, its legacy lives on. The mystery surrounding its construction, its purpose, and its eventual decline continues to captivate the imagination of those who seek to uncover the hidden history of ancient civilizations. Was Baalbek truly a symbol of Roman power, a place of worship and imperial propaganda? Or was it something more, perhaps a spiritual center that held knowledge and secrets lost to time? In the silent ruins of Baalbek, questions linger, and the answers may be buried beneath layers of history, waiting to be unearthed by those who dare to search for them. As the sun sets over the crumbling stones, casting long shadows across the temple complex, one is left to wonder, what remains hidden in the depths of Baalbek? The city may no longer stand as a thriving metropolis, but its mysteries endure, inviting further exploration, reflection, and perhaps revelation. The truth, like the stones that built the temples, may be just out of reach, an enigma buried in time, waiting for the right moment to be discovered.